Good evening and welcome to Richmond International Raceway for tonight's next round of the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship. I'm Tony Stevens, joined alongside tonight, as usual, by Nim Cross and Chuck Johnson. And this is race number 6 of the season, guys. And already it seems like Ray Alfalla has told the world, I am ready to repeat, as he is currently the point leader, 6 markers ahead of Michael Conti. And those two have a substantial lead over third place Brian Schoenberg coming into tonight's 200-lapper at Richmond.
Yeah, that's right, Tony. And Ray has proven that he is on a tear and ready to take away this championship again. He was way back after Daytona, but as far as his way back, and he now is in the championship point lead by 6 points. This is our first track this season, short track this season, and there's going to be a lot of beating and banging going on, and we'll see if Ray can survive tonight.
That we certainly will. And Chuck, you and I were talking before we came on air. This race seems to be one of those milestones you look at during the year to say, this person is going to be strong. 2 years ago, in 2010, Richard Towler took home the trophy here at Richmond. Last year, Ray Alfalla took home the trophy as well. So it seems like the champion, at least for the first 2 years of this series, has always won at Richmond. Could we see possibly another bit of that here tonight? Could the eventual series champion win tonight at Richmond, you think?
Well, Ray Alfalla definitely will be strong here. I'm not sure where he's going to be starting at tonight, but I would imagine that looks like maybe starting third. I would say that he will probably be doing his best to get out front and stay there as long as possible, because as you know, if you get back in the pack here, it is without a doubt a chance that someone else's mistake could easily take you out of the running. And I would certainly expect Ray to do everything he could to get to the lead as soon as he can and stay there as long as possible.
Absolutely, that's going to be important. Track position always key at any short track, especially here at Richmond. Although, Dim, it is a little bit easier to pass at this particular racetrack. A 3/4 mile D-shaped oval, moderate banking, about 14 degrees in both ends of the racetrack. But even so, very, very hard a lot of times to get grip and get everything loaded up and ready to point forward off of these corners.
Well, it is a very racy track. Turns 1 and 2 has an entry that you'll see a lot of different lines taken. You can take a high line and then kind of cut corner number 2 coming off the corner. A lot of drivers will take a low line so they can get down in and try to get position in corner number 1 and 2. But very racy, 2 wide all the way around. 3 and 4 is a little bit tighter, but it banked pretty good. So you can get a lot of side-by-side racing off of 3 and 4, as we saw last week in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series.
All the action track, and drivers absolutely love coming to Richmond, whether it be in a simulated machine like here in iRacing or a physical race car, much like you'd see in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Chuck, the other thing about a short track, cautions breed cautions. We were talking earlier about the caution count the past 2 years of this event.
All right, last 2 years ago we had 19 cautions in this race, Tony, and last year the drivers had a much better race with 13 cautions in that race. So a lot less cautions last year. Hopefully we can improve on that setup tonight. Maybe we'll have under double-digit cautions tonight in this race.
Certainly we'll find out. Of course, every race has gotten progressively kind of more action-packed, if you will. 13 and 19, and who knows how it's going to go after that. And the last thing that point leader Ray Alfalla wants to see is, in fact, a very action-packed race. Alfalla, Michael Conti currently second, Brian Schoenberg, Robert Hall, and Carson McClellan currently the top 5 in series points, Nim.
Yep, and then rounding out your top 10, you have Tyler Hudson in 6th, Michael J. Johnson 7th, Nick Ottinger in 8th, Chris Main 9th, and Brad Davies rounds out your top 10. Brad, a strong runner in the last couple seasons, so we'll see if he can get back in the championship hunt for this year.
That we certainly will. Practice concludes here at Richmond with just a minute or so left. Let's start taking you through tonight's starting lineup for the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship round number 6 here at Richmond. On the pole from Claremont, North Carolina, car number 05, Nick Ottinger with a 20.402 second lap. John Gorlinski in the 21 will start alongside.
In row number 2, we have last year's champion, Ray Alfala, starting third. Outside of him, Kevin King.
New Yorker Steve Sheehan in the 6th machine will roll off 5th here tonight. He just 1/1000th of a second quicker than Californian Patrick Baldwin, who will start 6th.
Inside row number 4, we have the show, Brian Schoenberg, starting 7th. Outside him, Chris Main in car number 38.
Marcus Lindsay rolls off 9th. Into his outside, current second-place point man, Michael Conti.
Row number 6 consists of car number 46, Carson McClellan on the inside. Outside of him in car number 16, Thomas Lewandowski.
Two-time Kingsport Speedway winner in NASCAR Whelen All-American Series competition this season, Daniel Pope in the 18 machine will roll off 13th, and to his outside, the 30 machine of Robert Hall.
Starting 15th will be Cyril Nussbaum from France, and outside of him, your Pro Series winner, champion this past season, Alex Warren.
Byron Daly, a 91 machine, rolls off 17th. We got some information about something special on his machine a little bit later in the show tonight. And to his outside, all the way from, Mooresville, North Carolina, Josh Berry in the 72.
Joshua Lofton inside row number 10. Outside of him, Josh Connors in car number 15, 20th.
John Adams in the 84 starts 21st, and Justin Thompson's 98 will roll off on the outside of row 11.
23rd, we'll find Brad Wright in car number 48. Outside of him, winner this season, Jake Sturgis, starts 24th.
Pedro Majica starts the 24 machine in 25th, and Josh Parker 26th.
Michael J. Johnson goes 27th. 28th, Connor McKenzie.
Landon Harrison 29th. Charles Cosper will roll off in 30th.
31st, Ryan Blackford. Outside of him, Florian Goddard in car number 4 goes 32nd.
6th place point man Tyler Hudson mired deep in the field starting 33rd. Chad Coleman could be rolling off 34th.
Andrew Fash, the 3rd, 35th. Vinny Sanson, 36th.
Final few cars here. Brad Davies rolls off 37th. Brandon Buchberger starts 38th.
39th, John Prather, and 40th, Patrick Fogel.
Final 3 cars in the lineup. Richie Davidowitz, who had problems on his qualifying lap, but he has the provisional to get in 41st. Thomas Hazard and Paul Kashiba rounding out the 43-car starting field here at the 3/4 mile Richmond International Raceway. Field is rolling for the first of 2 pace laps. Next time by, they will see the green flag. Nim, do the butterflies start batting around in your stomach? If you're further back in the pack here, you know it's a tight racetrack. Trouble can happen. Trouble can happen very, very quickly.
Yeah, what the guys back in the pack are thinking about right now is they don't want to be a part of any early accident. The cars are grouped together, and they don't get ungrouped a whole lot in this track. It's a short track. We're at 43 cars. There's always a lot of traffic, but they want to be careful. If anything happens in front of them, it could block the track, and they're going to have to stop. They don't want to get damaged early. You want to make it to the end of the race. This is a 200-lap race, so you got to be there at the end to have any kind of chance, and you don't want to get taken out early. They're just going to try to stay out of trouble.
Absolutely. Fans, want to let you know we're doing our Twitter contest again this week. Best tweet of the race with the hashtag RichmondNISWC gets a $25 iRacing gift certificate. So make sure you've got those Twitter machines ready to roll. Pace car is off. Waiting on the green flag. There it is. Nick Ottinger, John Gorlinski go through the gears, throttle down, and Ottinger will get the break into turn number 1. It's about a 3-car length advantage. Most of the field works through turns 1 and 2. The battle is for second off the back or onto the back straightaway.
Down in the corner number 3, Alfala's on the inside, Gorlinski's on the outside. Alfala has the preferred line, and he will take that second position from Gorlinski.
Kevin King on the move right there as well. As you see the new paint job on the 2 machine of Ray Alfala. Kevin King trying to get by Gorlinski already for 3rd. Looks like Gorlinski might have had the 1-lap hero set up in that machine, or possibly them. Trouble on the back straightaway. 1 car that's Josh Lawton going around. I don't think he hit anything. It doesn't look like Nim, but certainly a tough break for the Californian as he goes around and will lose all that track position here early.
Yeah, it looked like Joshua got down on the apron there in the middle of corner number 1 and 2, and then had to slow up, and he got a little bit of a tap, which sent him spinning around down the back straightaway. But I think a lot of these cars are on some setups that might be a little bit hairy for them right now. You know, they start out with a setup, and then they'll go in and adjust their setups during the first caution. You might see a lot of pit stops happening for some guys that want to make some adjustments to their cars this time by.
Now, I wonder if John Gorlinski might be one of those. We just started to talk about it, Deb, how that machine already here in the first few laps starting to drift back from his outside pole starting spot, and Kevin King was giving him a challenge here when the caution came out. Could Gorlinski possibly have a long run setup in that machine, or maybe did he just have something good for 1 or 2 laps?
Well, it's hard to tell right now, and I'm not even sure if he knows, depending on obviously how much practice they get. But one thing to get a caution this early, even if you do want to make adjustments, if you pit now, you're going to be way in the back because there are a lot of guys that aren't going to pit. So as we see now, even Gorlinski might be fighting a handling problem. After only 4 laps, he's going to stay out and deal with a little bit more and maybe assess the problem a little bit more, run a few more laps to see exactly what he's got to do to fix that car.
Very hard to tell exactly what it does need here with just a couple of quick laps as pit stops concluding for a number of drivers further back in the field. Among them, Charles Cosper, Justin Thompson, Tyler Hudson coming off pit road. Also, Landon Harris and Sean Adams came into the attention of his crew as well. So a number of drivers already trying to get some sort of advantage to make some sort of change to be way back in traffic there. And them, it almost makes you wonder, a lot of people... You talk about aerodynamics, and we grew up watching short track racing with the Cup Series. A lot of us did. And guys would win races. I think of Harry Gant back in '91 at Martinsville. The whole front of the car is missing, and he goes on to win the race. But aerodynamics play a huge role at a place here like Richmond, particularly when you're in the back of the pack. I mean, you're still running 100 miles an hour almost through these corners, and you can certainly get an aero push you have to adjust for if you're way back in the pack.
Yeah, definitely. Aerodynamics definitely do make a big difference, and when you're going 100 mile an hour, that's a lot of pressure on the down force parts of your car. Just stick your hand out the window going down the highway, and you'll see how much pressure there is. But you always find a way, like you said about Gad, and a lot of damage that these guys receive from short track racing. You even see it at Talladega sometimes. Some of these guys get beat up a whole lot, and they're still able to compete and go fast. And we'll see if that's the case here today.
Yeah, certainly, Liam, and I think that we're going to see a lot of guys maybe try to play that track position game to get that clean air on the nose later as the race goes on. Note for Josh Lawton fans, he was able to stay on the lead lap after that spin, so it looks like no harm, no foul for Lawton. He's being scored in the 40th spot as we get ready to go back to green. Pace car lights are, of course, off, as you see. Getting ready to make that hard left-hand turn down onto the pit road, and there it goes. Nick Ottinger, Ray Alfalla ready to lead him back to green one more time. There's the green handkerchief in the air. Ottinger gets away, but not nearly as good as he did on the initial start. Ray Alfalla right there in his right rear quarter panel, and here comes John Gorlinski. Gorlinski wants that second spot back again. It's him and Alfalla side by side down the back straightaway with the rest of the field in tow.
Yeah, Gorlinski's going to try to turn the tables here on Alfalla as they come off of corner number 4. He's going to take over that second spot from Alfalla. Sheehan's going to try to follow him through. Now Alfalla makes the crossover move going into turn 1.
Very, very cagey veteran Ray Alfalla. You watch him work his magic here on John Gorlinski. And as you said, yes, Steve Sheehan right there starting to work his way forward as well. Kevin King right there as you look back off of Ray Alfalla to that battle. Sheehan in the Spy Optics machine and John Gorlinski. Gorlinski trying to cut down in front of Kevin King. Not going to work. Gorlinski hung up high. Just don't pull a Pietro Fittipaldi and cut across somebody's nose like he did Thursday night, and you'll be in good shape, John.
Yeah, Gorlinski wanted that spot back. You see he led off for a little early. That's Chris Mayne down on the inside. I'm trying to take that spot now. But Gorlinski just wanted to get back down the line and try to get back into that preferred groove. But Mayne was having none of it. And now he's just going to try to take that spot coming off of corner number 2 from Gorlinski.
And my apologies. Yes, I called Chris Mayne, Kevin King. They're both blue race cars. And almost obviously they're fairly different. But King just kind of hanging out right now in the 6th spot as you ride on the roof right now here at Richmond. 10 laps complete, working lap 11, still 190 laps to go, Nim. And it looks like everybody now starting to get their rhythm out and just starting to make laps, starting to figure out what their car has. And maybe, just maybe, we might see a long green flag run here to let everybody have a chance to figure out what their car has and see if anybody has anything for Nick Ottinger.
Yeah, nobody has anything for it yet, but I'm sure we'll see Ray, and it looks like Sheehan's running pretty strong out right now as he's up fighting with Ray. But but we still got a long way to go. You will see a lot of those guys, and maybe even some of these guys working their way up through the packets. Now we see the 55 car working underneath Gorlinsky. Gorlinsky having a little bit of handling troubles here earlier, but the 55 gets a little bit loose coming off corner number 4 right there.
Yeah, I think Gorlinsky right now is going to be praying for an adjustment on that machine. He's certainly right now not the comer. He is the goer right now, and he is going right to the back as he finally gets down the bottom of the speedway. Behind them, couple cars still side by side as well. The 5 machine right there, Michael Conti, the 1, Marcus Lindsay. They're all side by side as they work through turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, these are 2 drivers battling it out in the Pro Series last year, which is the qualifying series to get into the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship. Michael Conti and Patrick Baldwin fought all last season, and Marcus Lindsay right there, the 3 cars right there fought all season last year, and they're now running up in the top 10 of this race.
Top 10, speaking of which, mostly single file. First 3 leaders or so pretty much have checked out. Ottinger, Alfala, and Sheehan have nearly a second and a half on 4th place now. Kevin King, then Chris Mayne. The rest of the top 5 as Gorlinsky continues to fall back. And Ray Alfala, he has caught Nick Ottinger. In fact, he is right there on his rear bumper as he goes to the turn number 3. And it looks like maybe Alfala might be somebody that has something for Nick Ottinger. Or Nim is maybe Ottinger playing poker right here, just kind of only giving it enough to stay up front. We'll find out. He and Alfala now side by side in turn 1, barely giving him enough room. Alfala to the bottom. He wants to lead.
Yeah, Ray Alfala, you don't see Ray usually go to lead this early in the race, so his car must really be working good. And one thing I know about Ottinger, he'll try to lead every lap if he can, so he must be struggling a little bit with that car right there. But Sheehan, to come through where he started from and be up with Alfala and chase down Ottinger like this, Sheehan's probably got a very strong car also, and I believe we'll probably see him in the next few laps challenge Ottinger for that 2nd position.
It's good to see Steve Sheehan having a good run here at Richmond. For so long, he was kind of off the sim racing stage, and now has come back, and of course come back with a force as he is a threat to be reckoned with here tonight at Richmond in the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship, and he is all over Nick Ottinger into turn number 3. It almost looks like that Nick is just not getting through the center and off. That car is starting to wash up, probably picking up a push, it looks like, from the center off on that 05 machine, Nick Ottinger. So tough break for him as he's going to have to hopefully make an adjustment here on the next caution flag.
Yeah, he definitely needs an adjustment if he's going to keep up with Alfala and Sheehan. Those 2 cars, noticeably up front, are the strongest cars, and we do have trouble.
Trouble over in turns 1 and 2, and that is the 23 machine going around. Cyril Nussbaum got a piece of it as well, but Josh Parker, the one that caught the short end of the stick, and he just kind of put a little too much power down, it looked like, coming off of turn number 2. So tough break for Josh Parker and Cyril Nussbaum, as that will bring out the 2nd caution of the evening here at Richmond. Nim, I'm sure we expect pit stops from everybody.
Well, I don't know, Tony. We're 20 laps in, and track position is everything, so they're going to have to be careful with that. As we see Parker there, he just spun the tires and spun around coming off the corner, but it doesn't look like a whole lot of damage to that car.
Certainly doesn't. It looked like anybody who at least was up front in this field coming to the attention of their crews. Among them, Ray Alfala, Steve Sheehan, the 05, Nick Ottinger, Kevin King, John Gorlinsky, who settled in the 5th spot. He'll get to make that long-awaited adjustment on his machine, as will Nick Ottinger, we were talking about just a little bit ago. They all now down to the attention of their crews. Right sides up on all the leaders. Looks like 4 tires for everybody up front, possibly somebody further back in the field trying 2 tires. We'll find out. Looks like Alfala might be the first one off pit road. In fact, he is. He will win that race off the pit lane, and others will follow. So Ray Alfala, pit crew, getting the job done, Nim.
Yeah, it looks like Ottinger's crew a little bit slow on that stop. He's lost about 3 or 4 positions back in the, looks like 5th or 6th spot right now.
John Prater stayed out under this caution flag. He's being scored as the leader at the moment. Most likely he'll be coming to pit road in that Whiskey River Chevrolet, but we'll find out if the 45 machine chooses to come down pit road. Given the fact that John was pretty much way back in the field, if memory serves me, looking at my starting lineup. Yeah, he started 39th, so I think Prather right now trying to get that bonus point early for leading a lap, and we'll see if, in fact, that is his strategy here very shortly. Again, fans, want to let you know you can talk to us on Twitter. Best tweet of the night gets a $25 iRacing.com gift card. Just use the hashtag Richmond NISWC. That's all one word, hashtag Richmond NISWC. Best tweet gets a $25 iRacing.com gift certificate. Well, lights are out atop the iRacing.com first pace car. John Prather still on the racetrack. Old tires versus new tires. We'll see what Prather has. If, in fact, track position is as important as we've been saying it is, he will lead the field to green them. This might be a hairy moment for a number of the drivers up front.
Well, John did pit on one of those earlier cautions on lap number 4, so his tires are about 14 laps old. Definitely it could be an advantage, but from starting way back from where he did, back in the 30s position, what he's looking for now is track position. He knows he's not going to be able to hold off Alfala. He knows he's not going to be able to hold off maybe the top 10. But if he can stay within the top 15, that's going to be a big plus for him, and that's going to be a lot of track position gain.
I think you're exactly right, Jim. It's worth the gamble at this point, and already you see Alfala swing around him on the outside. So Ray Alfala back to the point. Now Steve Sheehan going to try to deal with John Prather. As Prather down the apron, looks like Prather might be coming to pit road, possibly misjudging that caution flag. And I don't know what he's doing, but he is falling like a rock. And so much for strategy there as Ray Alfala and everybody else making quick work of John Prather.
I think he got a lesson on how bad those tires really were and how much he wanted the new tires, or how much he should have taken the new tires, because when he started out, everybody was all over him, and he decided at that point just to get out of the way because he was in the way and he was causing some issues, so he just decided to pull down there and let everybody go.
A little bit further back off the lead right now, watching the Speedco Truck Loom machine. Josh Berry, the NASCAR Whelen All-American Series driver for Junior Motorsports, and the, of course, NASCAR Racing.com Series World Championship driver. He gets by the 52 of Patrick Baldwin, also the 55 of Brian Schoenberg, the Abuto Cockpits machine, and you can win a Abuto Cockpit if, of course, you're an iRacing member. The details available on the member page as Baldwin continues to fall back through the field and riding on board the 18 machine right now of Daniel Pope II. He, another one of these drivers that has some real-life racing experience, two-time winner this season in the NASCAR Whelen All-American Series at the Kingsport Speedway in Kingsport, Tennessee. So Pope getting the job done for Main Performance PC Racing right now as he tries to stay ahead of the 48 machine. Brad Wright, this is a good battle right here towards the middle of the pack.
Yeah, Wright was able to move past Lindsay and Carson McClellan right there, and he finds himself up into the 12th position now. Lindsay still stuck up on the outside lane as he's got a number of cars. Now Byron Daly trying to get by him.
Speaking of Byron Daly, he and all the Tim's Corner machines that maybe you're used to Tim talking about every single week to carry the timscorner.ca logo, well, they've got a special decal on them, and Byron Daly is one of them. And in memory of Terry Roma, and Terry lost his battle with cancer just a few short weeks ago on April 15th. He was a longtime racer and multi-time champion at the Scotia Speed World in both the street stock and the sportsman classes. The only driver ever to win 3 Shriners Classics at the Scotia Speed World. As successful as Roma was on the track, he was much more successful off the track. He was a competitive person who worked hard, but he was willing to offer help and advice to all of his fellow competitors. He was an optimistic guy who always saw the big picture and understood the viewpoint of others. His driving skills were evident to all while he worked the 38 car through traffic towards the front. As proficient and determined as he was just as quick to help a competitor in the pits in the time of need. Then he'd run side by side and run tough with them during the race. But Terry was a fan favorite whose personality shone through during interviews and driver intros to Victory Lane, always upbeat and made you smile because he was having fun, and it always rubbed off on everybody around him. He was quick to thank the sponsors, thank his competitors, and very appreciative of what everybody did to advance the sport. Everybody will remember Terry racing with his chemo treatment strapped to his arm after making sure all the medical personnel knew what to do in case of an incident. He didn't want anyone to treat him differently because of his health situation on or off the track. He was one of the good guys, and he will be missed And, of course, a number of these cars here running that logo in memory of Terry Roma here tonight, Nim. And the battles on the racetrack starting to get a little heated again as your leaders begin to take off from the rest of the field as well.
Yeah, right now we have Don Gorlinski in the lead. We have Ray Alfala in the lead. I was a little messed up there. Ray has a 0.3 of a second lead over Steve Sheehan, and then about 1 second back to Kevin King. But like we saw on the last stint, Alfala and Sheehan are in class of the field right now, but Kevin King looks pretty strong back there in the third position.
Kevin King does. He's got a new car in his rearview mirror, and that's John Gorlinski. Looks like Gorlinski might have had a chance to make that adjustment under that caution flag as he just got by the Rheem Gale Force suspension machine of Nick Ottinger. And you ride on board there with Gorlinski starting to close in on Kevin King. And for that matter, Steve Sheehan up front is within just a couple of car lengths of Ray Alfala. About the only real challenge Ray Alfala has seen all night long, but that gap has stayed at about 2 to 3 car lengths all through this run now.
Yeah, that's right. Sheehan's been right there with Ray all night. Alfala doing really good right there and holding him off. But Sheehan's right there, and he's definitely a guy that's going to be having to reckon with to the end of this race.
That certainly appears to be the case as we ride on board with Steve Sheehan. Right now that gap as big as it has been, about 3 to 4 car lengths, and still Kevin King, John Gorlinski closing in on this top 2 ever so slowly it appears. And by the scoring monitor it says otherwise. Here goes Gorlinski for third. Gorlinski to the inside of Kevin King. That'll move the degree machine up to third. So Gorlinski, after starting outside pole Nim, he is moving his way up to third, living a dream here in a NASCAR sanctioned series every other Tuesday night, live on iRacing.com, a dream that every other member of the racing community or anybody in the world can in fact play out.
Yeah, no doubt. And as Gorlinski moves up to the third there, he must have made some good adjustments on that car to be as strong as he is, as we saw him struggling earlier. But you're right, there are many different NASCAR sanctioned series here on iRacing.com, and we have the late models, the SK Modifieds, the trucks, the NASCAR B cars. We have trouble. Marcus Lindsay's in trouble. Trouble on the speedway. Marcus Lindsay in the outside wall off of turn number 4 as the field works by him, and it looks like his night might effectively be over, but not quite sure what happened to Marcus Lindsay. Didn't see it from what we were looking at, but I think that maybe he just broke loose and then had a little help getting spun here on the front straightaway. So tough break for Marcus Lindsay, Nim.
Yeah, definitely some of the tires coming off the corner, got himself in trouble, and the cars in back really had nowhere to go. And that's where he went around. But to continue on with what we were saying, there are many different NASCAR divisions here on iRacing. And if you're not familiar with iRacing, what you're watching here are these drivers are racing from the comforts of their own home in front of their PCs. They have steering wheels hooked up to their PCs, pedals, and they're racing from the cockpit inside their own house. And they're racing people from all around the country and all around the world, for that matter, as Cyril Nussbaum in this race is from France. But if you too want to take part and become an iRacer or a race car driver on iRacing, a NASCAR driver, an IZOD IndyCar driver, whatever your flavor is, as pit stops start to happen here, come on over to iRacing.com and you can try it out. Buy 1 month and get 2 for free. So you can try it out for 3 months for the price of $12.
Certainly a deal, no matter which way you shake it. And in fact, we're going to give away a couple of those 3-month complimentary memberships here a little bit later in the show. Looks like 4 tires, the order of the day for most everybody up front. Alfala's going to win the race off. Gorlinski, I think, might have actually gotten the second spot out, followed by Steve Sheehan and Nick Ottinger and the rest of the field. And pit stops critical here at Richmond each and every time you come to pit road. You want to make sure you make the right call and get in and out in just the spot you're in, if not better. We're going to take a break here from the Richmond International Raceway. You're watching the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship live. Here's a winner. Jeremy is Richard Welcome back here to Richmond on iRacing Live as the pace car makes a left-hand turn. Paul Kashiba is your leader, much like John Prather in the last restart, but this time Ray Alfala doesn't get around him nearly as easily. They race off into turn 1. Gorlinski chooses to go the high side to try to follow Alfala, and it looks like it will be the proper lane choice as Alfala and Gorlinski clear Paul Kashiba. Kashiba now slotted in third as Sheehan and Ottinger try to get by. Looks like they might be 3 wide off turn number 4.
Yeah, Kashiba gets a little bit sideways coming off the corner, and now Patrick Baldwin's in trouble a little bit on the front straightaway there, but he was able to gather it back up. Kashiba is now finding out what they did the last caution flag is. Now those old tires are no good. These guys on the fresh tires are just going to run right over you, and he's stacking up a bunch of cars right behind him.
Certainly is, and what a piece of driving by Patrick Baldwin just a little bit ago to save that race car. It was plumb sideways here on the front straightaway. Great piece of driving as Kashiba still falling like a lead sinker through the pond. Brian Schoenberg gets by the 18 machine. Daniel Pope trying to get by. Here goes Kashiba way up the hill now in turn 3 to give everybody as much room as he possibly can. But that's certainly the vantage, or not the vantage point, but the absolute the action spot, if you will, in the field right now, because Kashiba with that much slower set of older tires on there certainly posing an issue. Brian Blackford now trying to get by as well in the 33 machine as Byron Daly stuck there in the middle of that one too. Everybody's still trying to work by Kashiba as he is nearly bouncing off everybody and everything.
Yeah, the problem with this is Kashiba is causing problems for everybody behind him right now, and that's why we saw Prather the last time this happened to him. He just pulled over and kind of let everybody go. Kashiba's not quite willing to do that, and he's causing problems for everybody on the outside of him who's behind him, and their cars are bumping, just trying to get around them. But it looks like they're getting a little bit sorted out now and trying to make their way by.
Yeah, I think once Kashiba got to the top lane, it made life a little bit easier for him and allowed him to give everybody a lot more room. But still, one car, that's the 99 machine of Cyril Nussbaum. He got in the middle of that and had to back off as it looks like there wasn't quite enough room there for 3 cars. And again, you see what kind of roadblock this is causing. I think if anybody thought about taking fuel only on a late pit stop, this pretty much has made their decision for them. But that would be a very bad idea.
Yeah, that's right. They need to be talking about this and seeing this. Sometimes, you know, last caution, the guys in the back might not have seen what's going on up front. And I'm sure Paul didn't realize it was going to be that much of a difference for him up front. But he's figuring it out now. And these guys will get the hint that they don't want to do this again.
Very true. Back up front, you see the leaders all single file. And that green or teal or whatever color it is, the nose of John Gorlinski's machine right there, back where he started in the second spot, flying the degree colors on that 21 machine, down the back straightaway, and he is within just a couple of car lengths of Ray Alfala. You ride on board with the 21 machine of John Gorlinski and see him stalking your leader, the Pro Geek machine of Ray Alfala, and I think Gorlinski smells blood.
Yeah, Gorlinski has definitely made some really good setups, or some setup adjustments to that car on that last pit stop. He's maybe the strongest car out there right now, as he's got that car dialed in, and now he's hunting down Ray Alfala.
He peeked to the inside off of turn number 4. Nothing there. And the other thing I'm really noticing, look at their entries getting into turn number 1. Alfala taking a much tighter entry, Gorlinski a much wider arcing entry into turn 1, and they just kind of come to a head on the exit of each corner. And even in turn number 3 there, you see a little bit different line as Gorlinski comes off a little lower, Alfala a little bit higher. But watch him again here in turn 1. Look at the difference in lines and how it's working for each driver. But Nim, it just goes to show you how versatile the sim is, that you can set these cars up to suit each driver's driving style. And both of them now up front is one car in the wall further back in the field. No caution, however, as we will keep digging, and Gorlinski still trying to get by Alfala.
Yeah, you're right. Gorlinski seems to let off a little bit earlier going into 1, and we talked about in the opening of this race how many different lines there were going into corner number 1. Gorlinski, like you said, holds a little bit higher line going in the corner. He lets off a little bit earlier, and he gets a pretty good arc through that corner where the cars of Ray Alfala and Steve Sheehan, they kind of take a lower entry, and they're actually a little bit deeper going to the corner. You see as they go down the corner, or turn number 1 here, it looks like Sheehan gains a car length or so going into the corner, and that doesn't help him coming off the corner. You see Gorlinski, real strong coming off the corner, stretches out that car length back on Sheehan.
That he does. Those of you that are Daniel Pope fans, he was the car that got in the fence a few moments ago. He has made it safely to pit lane. Tough break for the Smyrna, Tennessee driver, Daniel Pope from Main Performance PC Racing. Still this battle for the lead. As you watch the replay of the 18 machine getting up into the outside wall, Gorlitzky is right there all over Ray Alfaro once again at turn 3, and despite this battle, this threesome is pulled away from the rest of the field by about a second or so as you ride on board with Gorlitzky, and they begin to close in on one of the lap machines, and that actually is the 18 machine of Daniel Pope, who's been to pit road for service after that contact with the wall.
John Gorlinsky, one of JR Motorsports drivers, and that JR is Junior Motorsports from Dale Earnhardt Jr. Does support a number of the drivers in this series, as he was a part of this series back 2 years ago, but his schedule doesn't allow him to compete in this series any longer. He's on iRacing all the time, though, getting a lot of training in and just having fun with a lot of the membership here on iRacing. But John Gorlinsky, a part of that team right now, as Marcus Lindsay tries to make it back down pit road, almost washes up in front of these guys.
Yeah, I thought that was actually Daniel Pope, but yes, it was Marcus Lindsay. They were coming up on. My apologies. Speaking of Dale Jr. now, NASCAR made their rule a couple seasons ago. You can only earn points, as you see. Gorlitzky get a little bit out of shape. You can only earn points in one NASCAR sanctioned division, and you have to declare. Did that have anything to do with his decision not to run this series last year at all?
I don't think so. It's just, from what I understand, it's a schedule. You got to really make a commitment to run this series. You got to practice. Just like any NASCAR series you want to run, it takes commitment. It takes a lot of people working together to be able to compete. This series is very competitive. Thousands of drivers try to get in this series. There are qualifying series to get in this series, which are actually going on at this time for next year. So it takes a huge commitment to make it into this series, and with Junior's time, with all he's got to do, he's definitely good enough to do it. He's done it before, and he's good enough to win races. He's done that before in this series. So it's just I'm sure a time commitment for him.
Yeah, you see all these guys on TV saying about the last time he won a NASCAR race, blah, blah, blah. Last time he won a NASCAR race was here in iRacing. So I don't want to hear all this stuff about Michigan 4 or 5 years ago. That's nonsense. He's won since then, gotten the job done. As you see Nick Ottinger and Michael Conti battling for the 4th and 5th spot here off turn number 4. And then some of the newer iRacing members maybe trying to figure out how to work their way to the top here. It's very much structured, just like any career would be towards the top of the big leagues of stock car racing. You got to start small in the Legends cars and your street stocks at a local racetrack, and then yeah, you absolutely have to work your tail off through late models and some of the touring type cars and series to work your way up to essentially the equivalent of the Sprint Cup Series here on iRacing, and that is the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship. And it's really neat to me. I always sit here and it amazes me that this series, when it started way back in the day with the 10, Total Entertainment Network, and Papyrus, when Dave Camper and his group were in that organization, how that was the 13th at the time sanctioned division of NASCAR, and the only one that was ever virtual. And now here they are. This is an actual, considered a big national series or international series for NASCAR. They list 4 series on the homepage of NASCAR.com. The Sprint Cup Series, the Nationwide Series, the Camping World Truck Series, and the iRacing.com Series World Championship. So this is a pretty big accomplishment for these guys to even make it to this level.
Well, the winner of the series, Ray Alfaro, last year won $10,500. That is what is up for the winner this year. He also got to stand down on the stage in Homestead. He received his NASCAR champion ring. He got his jacket that all the champions get, and he got his trophy. And he stood on the same stage as all the other NASCAR champions did last year down in Homestead also. So, yeah, NASCAR is very much behind this series. NASCAR is very much behind iRacing.com. And anybody who wants to be a NASCAR driver can come to iRacing.com and start out in the street stocks, legend cars, late models, SK modifieds, and work their way up. And they could be racing in this series that you see here somewhere down the road.
As you watch this battle for second, Gorlitzky has fallen back off the back bumper of Ray Alfaro. Looks like maybe he's used the Goodyear, or I guess I should say the iRacing Manglers up on that machine, as that gap now nearly 3/4 of a second back to John Gorlitzky from what was just a couple of inches not too long ago. And Nim, We talked a little earlier about giving some memberships away. Let's do that. How do we win one of those memberships, one of those 3-month trials?
Well, I guess tweet us. Yeah, if any first come, first serve, just give us a tweet, and we'll give away one of those, or two. We got 2 to give away. Memberships to iRacing.com, so you can come join us, but you have to be a new member. And this was to be your first time on iRacing. You give us a try for 3 months.
And of course, Nim, that means you have to use, if you're on Twitter, use the hashtag Richmond NISWC. That has to be in your post. And again, yes, it has to be for a new membership, but we will give it away as your leaders begin to close in on the tail of the field, including, that white car we saw at the front of the field in the restart. Paul Kashiba, Vinny Sansone, John Prather, Florian Goddard back there, Charles Cosper, Brandon Buchberger, John Adams, all these drivers in danger of going a lap down here in just a few moments.
The 21 car kind of fell back there a little bit from Ray Alfala. We're now working lap number 77 of 200, just finished 77, working 78. He fell back a little bit from Alfala, but now he's catching back up as Alfala seems to be falling back in the clutches of Gorlinski. Sheehan right there also.
Yeah, kind of uncharacteristic of Alfala to pull out that lead and then all of a sudden start falling back, and almost wonder if Gorlinski was just trying something for a couple of laps, it didn't work, and then dialed it back to what he was doing before to reel Alfala back in. But we'll wait and see here, as traffic might have something to do with it even. There's no more clean air on the nose of that 2 machine of Ray Alfala, and that gap now just a mere curling as they work into turn number 3 behind this lap traffic. Lap traffic might play a role here in the lead as we complete lap number 79. We are 40% of the way home in this 200 lapper as you ride on board once again with John Gorlinski into turn number 1. Lap machines, or nearly lap machines, side by side in front of him. Alfala having to pick and choose his lane, and that might just present the opening for Gorlinski, as now the lap machines are right on the bottom of the racetrack, certainly becoming a headache for the leaders.
Yeah, what we see right there in front of Ray Alfala is Paul Kashiba. Kashiba started on the pole on that last restart. He was the driver that didn't take tires, and I'm sure he's regretting that decision right now as he falls a lap down to your leader, Ray Alfala.
Yeah, certainly that caution I think he was hoping for did not present itself, so tough break for Kashiba. But hey, you can't really blame him for gambling, as the next couple of cars there, they're going to be going a lap down. Vinny Sansone, John Prather as well in the 45 machine. And with them being side by side, here goes Gorlinski. He tries the crossover maneuver. He's thinking about it. Nothing there. He tucks back in line as they go by the John Prather machine. But Gorlinski saw an opportunity and nearly had a chance to take it off turn 2.
Yeah, these lap cars aren't cooperating with the leaders very much. Sansone there doesn't want to go a lap down, and we saw there in the back there, Kashiba actually fighting with Sheehan and just a little bit harder, trying to take that spot away from Sheehan. So not sure that he wasn't just trying to give Sheehan a hard time there, but he had nothing for him, and now Kashiba falls back and Sheehan works his way through in that 3rd spot.
And not to fault any of these guys. I mean, they've got every right in the world to race and try to stay on the lead laps. They're doing nothing wrong, but it's just whenever you're one of these leaders and you're faster, it gets very frustrating sometimes to try to get by some of these lap machines. Although, again, they're doing nothing wrong, trying to race to stay on the lead lap, and they've got just as much right to the racetrack as the leaders do, and they, in fact, clear those first couple of lap machines. Next couple of cars in danger of going a lap down include Florian Goddard, Brandon Buchberger, Sean Adams, Jake Sturgis, Chad Coleman, Justin Thompson, Andrew Fiash III, all within striking distance of the leaders, all within sight on the same straightaway as Alfala still continuing to lead. Gorlinski now back just a couple of car lengths off turn number 4, but I think Alfala might start to worry about Gorlinski because as the race has gone on, he has gotten closer and closer and better, and Gorlinski sailed it into turn 1 that time. Don't think that worked out very well for him.
Yeah, I think he must have missed his braking point there, getting into the corner. He got in there a little hot, and he washed up the track, maybe even overheated his tires a little bit, and that's going to allow Sheehan to challenge going down the front straightaway. He has position on the inside.
And he'll get that spot into turn number 1. So Gorlinski from P2 back to position number 3. Thought about the crossover. Don't think that's exactly going to happen, though. Gorlinski now going to slot right back into 3rd as behind them, the rest of the field starting to work by some of those lap machines, including Nick Ottinger, Michael Connie in 5th, Kevin King, Chris Main, Patrick Baldwin currently in 8th, Josh Berry and Carson McClellan. Your current top 10, rest of the top 15 include Brad Wright, Byron Daly up to 12th, Brian Blackford 13th, Robert Hall 14th, and Thomas Lewandowski right now being scored in 15th as we close in just 12 laps from the halfway point.
Looks like Vinny Sansone smacked the wall coming on corner number 2 there just a little bit. Doesn't seem to be heavily damaged. He's back on his way. But Ray Alfala, as we're in car with Steve Sheehan, looking out the front of the car, he's got Florian Goddard right there in front of him. And a couple of lap cars he's trying to make way by. Hey, Gorlinski gets in the back of him. And Gorlinski spins it around. Sheehan saves it, but Gorlinski spins it.
And no caution. No caution, Gorlinski. A fantastic piece of driving to get that machine righted without hitting anything, but a tough break for him all the same. Gorlinski from running 3rd to way outside now the top 10. And it looks like Gorlinski might have a flat tire. We'll find out. But certainly the tires are cooked on that machine of John Gorlinski. He'll stay on the racetrack, but it looks like he now going to be praying, begging for a caution from 3rd spot all the way back to 10th. I'm impressed. That was, as now caution on the racetrack. Over in turn number 3, Brian Schoenberg goes around. And it looks like Schoenberg tried to imitate Gorlinski, but it didn't quite work out for him. And that will bring out the caution that John Gorlinski was begging for.
Steve Sheehan and John Gorlinski, both junior motorsports drivers, they got together. Their teammates got together, and it looked like Sheehan got held up by a lap traffic right there. Gorlinski really didn't want to hit his teammate there, but got in the back of him. They both did a great job recovering. Sheehan spun, and when Sheehan saved the car, Gorlinski spun around and heated up those tires. It took him a little bit to recover. He got it recovered now in the 10th spot, and we'll see if he can get it back from there. But caution's out on lap number 92, almost to halfway here. We'll see everybody head down pit road.
And that was pretty much the longest green flag run we've had all night, approximately 40 laps or so by my counts. As this is only caution number 4 as we approach halfway. I'll follow with a substantial lead coming into the pits. Looks like he, in fact, will, assuming everything goes according to plan, he'll most likely end up with the lead off of pit road. 4 tires expected for all the leaders. You see Gorlinski pull in now in front of your leader, Alfala. Nick Ottinger's in, Kevin King, Steve Sheehan, and Alfala, the first one down in a way. He'll win the race off. Nick Ottinger looks like might get second, followed by Steve Sheehan. So Ottinger may be the big mover here on this one, as he will end up, I believe, in the runner-up spot. So certainly Nick Ottinger looking to maybe get a couple of bonus points here for leading here in the mid-stages of this 200-lapper at Richmond.
Yeah, Gorlinski out front right now. Sheehan Ottinger right there. Michael Conti making his move now. He's up into the 4th position. We'll see if anybody else has a challenge for Alfala and Sheehan. They haven't been able to stay with them up to this point, but now that they've had another chance to make some adjustments on this car, we'll see if anybody else could make a run on these guys in the second half of this race.
We will certainly find out as a couple of cars staying out, including Paul Kashiba and the 4 machine of Florian Goddard. Looks like Goddard's going to try to stay out, get the waiver out, and Kashiba on those ancient tires from, I guess, 2 cautions ago. Looks like he too going to try to get the waiver out and pray for a quick yellow to maybe stay on the lead lap. I don't want to say I'm questioning his strategy, but I don't know. That might not work out too well. That's about 80 laps or so on those tires.
Yeah, he will most likely definitely. He has to pit, as we saw. The guys on just a couple lap old tires struggling so much, but he'll certainly be in the pit stop. We did get the wave around Lucky Dog receiver that time by, and that was John Adams. John Adams was the first car a lap down that last time, and he will get the Lucky Dog.
And I'm going to shine a spotlight right now on a driver from all the way out in California, and that is Josh Lawton in the Gale Force Sim Racing team. Actually, he's from Fresno, but 28 years old. Normally works for one of the tire companies out west, and I think apparently they've taught him something about tires. Remember, he was the first caution on the back straightaway, got relegated all the way back to the 40th spot, and he has methodically worked his way back to the 21st spot. So give a big tip of the hat to Josh Lawton as he continues to work his way forward after that first couple of laps spin. So Lawton, certainly one of the cars to keep an eye on here in the second half of the race, Tim.
Lights are out on the safety car. We will get the green flag this time by working lap number 96 right now. Get the green flag on the start of lap number 97, so there will be 104 laps to go from here. They definitely can make it on fuel, Tony. But tires, they'll probably make it on tires also, but they'll get them worn down, and we'll see the guys that have worked on these setups and tuned these setups best get there in front if we're going to go a whole 104 laps.
Most likely, I don't see a lot of guys trying to skate around as you see Rahal following the green flag get a huge jump on Otger, Sheehan, and company as they race off into turn number 1. So Alfala taking no prisoners here on lap number 1 after the restart. Sheehan right there as well. Behind him, here comes Patrick Baldwin in that number 52 machine. He is right there as well. Give a call to his crew, getting him out inside the top 5. Michael Connie right there in 5th as well. Currently 2nd in series points. Kevin King, Chris Mayne, John Gorlinski all right there in the midst of it, as is Josh Berry and Byron Daly. And that right now is where our cameras are, because that's one of the best battles in the racetrack.
Josh Berry to the inside, Chris Mayne up on the outside, Byron Daly right there to his inside as they go down the front straightaway. This is a battle for, it looks like, the 8th, 9th, and 10th position right now.
Certainly a whole gaggle of cars. Carson McClellan right there in the 46 machine. Robert Hall in the 30. You see Brian Blackford right there too. He's now trying to get by Chris Mayne in the Spin Master machine. Off turn number 4 as you ride on board with Brian Blackford down the front straightaway into turn number 1. Nearly 140 miles an hour barreling off into these corners here, or at least turn 1 here at Richmond. Very fast little racetrack as they continue to work by Chris Mayne, the Maryland driver, who apparently is having problems finding grip on the top of the racetrack now.
Yeah, Mayne stuck up on the outside, and he's struggling right now. As you see that car wiggling coming off the corners. Maybe not liking that last setup adjustment he did on that last caution flag.
Yeah, something. Either the air pressure's not up to stuff, or possibly something that he just didn't quite like and is trying to fight with right now. As you see the 51 machine nearly get into him as Mayne continues to backslide through this field. And now, whoa, holy cow.
Yeah, it looks
Wow.
like that Mayne tried to do the crossover move right there. Tried to get down. I don't think he wanted to get in back of the 51 car. He just wanted to get back in line, and possibly that got in the back of the 51 car right there, loosened him up a little bit as the 23 car tried to, and that's Josh Parker, tried to work his way back underneath the 38.
A little bit further up front, Josh Berry, Kevin King, and now John Gorlinski. Gorlinski slipped in turn 2 a half a lap ago. That's going to open the door for Berry in that speed code. JR Motorsports entry to get by Gorlinski. Kevin King going to do the same, so move Josh Berry up to 6th. Certainly a good run for him here at Richmond. And now it looks like Gorlinski might be stuck up top. Byron Daly trying to get by as Daly has now cracked the top 10 in his machine. Good run for the New Yorker transplant now to North Carolina. Currently a student at the University of North Carolina, Charlotte, is Byron Daly. And he'll spend about half the year in New York and half of it in North Carolina. But certainly good to see Byron Daly with a solid run here tonight. John Gorlinski. Looks like that maybe he made an adjustment and over-adjusted on that last stop, then.
Yeah, it's possible. Now Gorlinski, though, working down the inside of the 29 as we look at the front bumper off of the Gorlinski cars that go down the corner number 1. You can see him right there, a good snug line down on the inside as we look back at the 29 car right now going down the back straightaway. 21 cars on the move. He's one of the 3 fastest cars we saw earlier in this race. He had that spin, but he's trying to work his way back up. Now moves this car back into the 7th position.
Yeah, I think Gorlinski's kind of hot and cold here tonight. It just seems like one run he's great, and the next run he's so-so. And if he can find that balance, he might be real dangerous for the win. But right now, Gorlinski seems to have lost the handle. If you're wondering about who's up front, it's still Ray Alfala and Steve Sheehan. They've checked out a little bit over Nick Ottinger, Patrick Baldwin, and Michael Connie, the top 5. We continue to watch this battle here with the 91 of Byron Daly, the 48 machine, Brad Wright. Also, Carson McClellan, Brian Blackford, all right here in this mix as well. And Robert Hall with 30 Machine. This is about a 6-car gaggle as they work through turns 3 and 4. And Kevin King right now, he's starting to backslide a little bit, Nim.
Yeah, whenever you see train of cars right behind you and a gap in front of you, that means you're holding up the guys behind you just a little bit. Kevin seems to be struggling with that setup right now just a little bit, as he's got Byron right behind him. But those guys don't have enough to try to make a move on him yet. So Byron wants to get a good finish. He's had a lot of bad luck here in the series earlier this season, and he just wants to bring home a good finish right now, I'm sure. Running in the 9th position for Byron Daly.
And when we were riding on board, you might have seen something pretty spectacular ahead of Byron Daly, and that was John Gorlinski getting by Josh Berry on the outside of the speedway. So Gorlinski showing a little bit of a power move here in the mid stages of this one, as Byron Daly still trying to find a way by Kevin King. Hasn't quite got it done yet. Carson McClellan, while we were watching that, he got by Brad Rice. Caution! Trouble on the racetrack. Brandon Buchberger goes around off turn number 4. The JDR Graphics machine by himself, and John Prather comes around to smack him in the left rear. So it looks like what was an otherwise harmless spin for Brandon Buchberger might have essentially ended his shot at a decent run after the contact from John Prather. But turn 4 has been the trouble spot here tonight, Nim.
Yeah, it's a little bit slippery coming off corners there. You really have to manage the throttle with these cars coming off the corners. These cars weigh 3,400 pounds. You know, you're going around the tires aren't that big relative to the size of the car. When you're coming off the corners, you have 900 plus horsepower that you're trying to get down to the pavement, and you really have to treat the throttle with eggshells. You step on a little bit too hard, you spin the tires coming off the corner, and that's what you see. Brandon had some problems with coming up 4, and some other drivers earlier. But you really just you have to be careful, and the guys with the better setups can mash that throttle just a little bit harder than the guys who are struggling with their setups a little bit.
Certainly so, and also you got to worry about mashing the brake pedal too. And it looks like John Prather had a little bit of an issue doing that, or at least getting around the machine of Brandon Buchberger. Tough break for both of those drivers. All the leaders looks like are coming down pit road once again for what appears to be 4 tires and fuel on their Goodyear Eagles. And left sides are up on Alfala. He is down and away. He'll win the race off the pit road. And it looks like Steve Sheehan, once again, Nick Ottinger side by side, but Gorlinski, I believe, came out in the 4th spot on that exchange of pit stops. So again, we talked about the pit crews earlier, Nim. They're all very, very important.
Yeah, Gorlinski working his way back up. 4th or 5th right there. We'll have to see how he scored coming off of pit road, but that's a big deal. You know, he was 10th when he had that spin right there, working his way back up to lead, and he's got plenty of time. We're working lap number 114 right now, so he's got plenty of time to try to make it back into this event and try to battle for this win. 86, 87 laps to go from here. He's still got plenty of time. You just got to have the patience.
Certainly does. We'll be back to cover the rest of it for you. You're watching the iRacing, the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship here live on iRacing Live. Don't go away.
Right now, your leader out front is Ray Alfala in car number 2. He will be second place. Steve Sheehan after these pit stops. Third, Nick Ottinger in car number 05. Fourth will be Patrick Baldwin, who has made his way up to fourth, obviously. John Gorlinski up to fifth after his spin. Michael Conte falls back to sixth. as the lights go out on the safety car. Josh Berry 7th, Kevin King 8th, 9th Byron Daly, Carson McClellan round up your top 10.
As we get ready for the restart, Nim, and again, Ray Alfala, I don't think he's been anywhere except out front on the restarts, excepting, of course, the very initial start of the race, and even so, he was in touch with the front then. Nick Ottinger, as you said, in third. He's going to see if those adjustments possibly can help him. Same with John Gorlinski, who's battled back to fifth after that spin off turn number 4. And Alfala gets the Carl Edwards style restart. Big jump on the restart, 3 wide, nearly. Gorlinski thought about it to turn number 1. And that's where the battle is. For second, Ottinger, Sheehan, Gorlinski, and Baldwin, all in a whole wad as they work down the back straightaway.
Patrick trying to battle Sheehan up there down the inside, Sheehan up on the outside. Patrick trying to take away that second spot. Sheehan's car working really good. We'll see how he manages up there with the pet. But Ottinger does take that spot. Gorlinski now right there in fourth.
And Sheehan just about got shoved out. It's trouble. Chris Main goes around over in turn number 2. He had some help from Josh Lawton, and that is a rear clip all day long for Chris Main. Tough break for the Germantown, Maryland driver in the Spin Master Chevrolet, as it looked like he was thinking about having a good run here tonight, but last run we saw him backsliding, and now it culminates with him in the outside wall. So certainly a very, very tough break for Chris Main as he zooms back up through the field. Not quite sure what that was all about, but nonetheless, Chris Main looks like his day effectively going to be done, at least as far as the contending for a top 10 spot goes.
Yeah, heavy damage to the left side of that car. It looks like he may have banged doors there with the 01 of Tyler Hudson just a little bit, going down in the corner number 1. And then the Lofton basically was down to the inside, and that's where he touched the left rear, sending Main up into the wall, left rear, then left side, and some pretty heavy damage to that car.
So tough break for another one of the junior motorsports drivers. We've seen Gorlinski go around, and we've seen Chris Main now on the fence. This just isn't a good night for the junior motorsports drivers. The good news is, though, for the guys that got the waiver on that most recent caution, finally their strategy pays off. They get to come in, get brand new sticker tires, and they're on the lead lap, and they'll be able to regroup and set sail with everybody else with equal rubber.
Yep, definitely do. They get the pit stops down there and get those tires on the car and definitely help them out in that next green flag run. 120 laps they're working on right now, so about 80 laps to go from here. And we'll see if they can challenge back, which they get those repairs done on the car, they can definitely do so.
We'll see if, in fact, that is the case. I mean, iRacing's done a fantastic job at damage modeling, and if that's the case, the 38's rear clip is going to be shoved certainly one direction that it doesn't need to be shoved, and most likely has bent some of the truck arms in the rear end under there as well. But tough break for Chris Main again, as he is going to be coming back to the attention of his crew, I'm sure, here in just a couple of moments. Field still circulating under caution here. Have we got any contenders, I have to know, guys, in the production booth for the tweet of the race contest using the hashtag Richmond NISWC? Apparently, their silence means they're trying to sort through them right now, which that can be a hard job to produce and try to sort through tweets at the same time. But remember, best tweet of the race gets a $25 iRacing gift certificate. Just use the hashtag Richmond NISWC. As the lucky dog comes around, the free pass car makes his way around the field. And it looks like next time by, we'll be anticipating the 1 to go signal now.
Paul Kashiba was that lucky dog. And don't forget also, if you're not an iRacing member out there, we're giving away a couple of 3-month memberships here tonight, so you can give us a try out. Also send us a tweet, and the first 2, I believe, tweets will get those free memberships for the for a 3-month membership. So tweet us if you haven't, if you'd like to try out iRacing, and you get one of those memberships if you're one of the first 2.
Lights out on the pace car here once again as we complete lap number 122. 78 circuits remaining. Just past 10 o'clock on the East Coast, just past 7 o'clock on the West Coast. Those of you who are our Pacific brethren joining us and anywhere else in the world, well, guess what? It's 5 o'clock somewhere. I know that much, Nim. And it's getting ready to be go time here in a little bit. As I actually check that caution back out, we're going to be extending the caution flag by 1 period to get scoring lined up exactly. So I guess that's good news if you're somebody that's that was wanting a caution flag, but I really can't think of anybody who would except maybe Ray Alfala.
Well, Ray out front, what they're doing is definitely getting a lucky dog chance to get lined back up. And at a short track here, it's tough to get everything sorted out by the time it's ready to go back green. So one more lap, we'll get them back to go. But Ottinger, a big challenger to Sheehan that last prize. Now we see looks like Prather getting a wave around there for something going on. John Prather was waved around and able to get around the car, and he'll get a lap back. But Ottinger made it really tough for Sheehan the last time on that last start. We'll see if Sheehan has anything to do with that this time. John Gorlinski now made it back from his spin right there in the 4th position.
And I have to wonder, as we get ready for this restart, Nim, according to the iRacing First Sporting Code, what is the what's the ruling here on restart? Some of these huge jumps that Alfala's been getting.
Well, Alfala's not really getting a huge jump. He is going when he is able to go by the rules, but when he goes, everybody else has got to wait for him to go, and when he goes, they're just not doing a good job. Oh, we had contact between Sheehan and Gorlinski going down. Ottinger gets a little piece of it.
Nearly 3 wide, Ottinger, Gorlinski, and Sheehan, and there goes Daniel Pope in the 18 machine spinning. Top right, third car, the 46 of McClellan hard in the fence in turn 4. In the aftermath of that one, so 2 separate accidents, bringing out the caution flag, and it looks like Carson McClellan's day is done after substantial impact in the turn 3 wall. Not quite sure what happened there, but that all happened in the aftermath of that caution flag, and it looks like he just overcorrected and got in the fence. So 2 separate yellows. There were 2 separate incidents here, bringing out this yellow flag once again. I think now, Nim, we're getting to the point that everybody knows what time of the race it is. Go time. They're starting to take a few more chances than maybe they would 100 laps ago.
Yeah, it looks like with the McClellan there, it looks like he may have gotten a little tap by Byron Daly as they were slowing up, and that got him a little bit sideways, and then he overcorrected and went up into the wall. But Daly also getting a little bit of damage from that one.
Certainly tough break for both of those drivers, but I think Byron Daly might be able to continue without coming to pit lane. But again, Carson McClellan, that was a heck of a lick, and certainly a tough break for him. He was having a solid run inside the top 10. Got to give a call here to Michael Connie, currently running in the 4th spot. And a lot of guys maybe not very familiar with Michael Connie, but the GSRacing.com JDR graphics machine. A youngster here in the series, just turning 15 years old on April the 6th. And Michael Connie, this is Tony Stevens up in the iRacing broadcast booth. You are having a fantastic run, my friend. Started further back in the field. You've been up and down and everywhere. And now here you are inside the top 5. Going to be starting outside row 2 on this restart. Having a great run.
Yeah, the car's pretty good. Put in a lot of time this week to try to figure out the new build and all the new stuff, the bump stops and the Packers and all that. And I think I got a pretty good feel for it. And the car is pretty good. I mean, I think it's definitely a solid top 5 car. And I think if everything goes right, I can definitely get a top 5 out of it. But I'm trying to run well tonight. We got a couple new sponsors on here this week, Inside Sim Racing and R-Seat, signed on for the rest of the season. So I'm happy to have them on here, and I'm trying to do them justice here tonight.
Well, so far you certainly are, and having a great season so far. 5 races in, you're just 6 points behind the guy that's currently leading this race, Ray Alfala. And after coming in from the Pro Series last year, making an impact in this series. The only question is here as we get the 1 to go signal, do you have anything for the 2 car at this point in the race?
I think we're pretty close. It's just a matter of me getting track position, being able to start close to him so he doesn't get too much of a gap to where I can't really close in. I mean, I think him and Sheehan, really all the junior motorsports guys, I think they have a little bit more forward bite than I do from what I can tell. But I think if I got up there with Alfala, I think I could give him a run for his money here for at least a couple laps in a short run anyway.
Well, best of luck to you here, Nick, or Michael, excuse me. Thinking about the wrong guy. But yeah, best of luck to you, Michael, and certainly making a show out there because it's been pretty good to watch from this point.
Thanks, buddy.
That's Michael Conti, currently running 4th right now here in the 200 lapper at Richmond for the NASCAR Racing.com Series World Championship. You see him pull up there on the outside of Steve Sheehan. The 05, Nick Ottinger. The 21 of John Gorlinski, Kevin King, Patrick Baldwin, Josh Berry, Byron Daly, Brian Black for the rest of the top 10. Rest of the top 20 include include Brad Wright, Robert Hall, Tyler Hudson up to 13th. Great run for Tyler after starting the tail of the field. Richie Davidowitz, Patrick Fogel, Tom Hazard, Alex Warren, Andrew Fiash the third, Jake Sturgis, and Michael Johnson rounding out the top 20 now as we get ready to go racing again.
Yep, and as Mike said, he picked up that new sponsorship from Inside Sim Racing. We give a shout out to our friends Darren Garangy and Sean Cole and the crew out there at Inside Sim Racing.
Alfala on the gas once again, and Nick Ottinger just, it seems like nobody has anything for Alfala on a restart. Whatever he's doing, he needs to bottle it and sell it because it would make him millions here in the NISWC tonight. But Steve Sheehan and Nick Ottinger, because of that great restart, are in fact side by side through turns 3 and 4. Gorlinski right there as well, thinking possibly of making it 3 wide. Nothing there, but behind him they are 3 wide down the front straightaway. Brian Blackford in the middle of that one. Tyler Hudson back there as well. Hudson at the bottom of the speedway, working his way up in the field all the way from, if memory serves me, about the 33rd starting spot or so. But Hudson having a fantastic showing as he tries to get by the 33 of Brian Blackford.
Looks like Jake Sturgis got in the wall going up in corner number 3. Got a little bit of help from the 39 car. The 77 actually hit the 39 car, and the 39 car sent the 41 car up into the wall. No caution, though.
Tough break for them. The good news is they are able to keep going. Single file pretty much now through the entire top 10. As a lot of different players starting to make themselves known here at the tail end of the top 10 now. Among them, Brad Wright, who we haven't talked about a lot tonight. Brian Blackford, Tyler Hudson, even Patrick Fogel and Richie Davidowitz working their way up there.
Yeah, Davidowitz, not a very good qualifying run. He started way back in the field tonight, and he's had a good run up into 13th position right now. So that's a real good run for him.
Of course, Davidowitz very adept at making things happen as time goes along and being in the right place at the right time. He's believe it or not, he's actually a day trader on the stock market. So you got to know what you're doing there in order to make all that stuff happen. And right now, Davidowitz is at the right place at the right time as he is closing in on the top 10 with less than 65 now laps to go. 64. This time by Trouble. Trouble in turn number 4. John Adams. A substantial impact over in turn number 2, actually. And it looks like he, not quite sure what happened to the 84, but Chris May got a piece of that one as well. And it looks like both of those drivers' nights have pretty much done, Nim.
Yeah, heavy damage to those cars, heavy contact. I have to see what happened. Get the replay up and see what happened here.
It's almost like he lost brakes.
Yeah, as they go down the corner number 1, he looks like Adams got down the corner way too quick, a little bit more than he expected, and he got the car all out of shape. Not sure why. It looks a little bit unusual, but all out of shape going up there in corner number 1, head on into the wall. You see that black smoke from the car. That's never good because that means your engine's dead, and that will be the end of the night for John Adams.
Once again, this is pit stop time for everybody, and depending on the cautions, this may or may not be the last pit stop. As we documented, of course, you can go the whole way on fuel. Tires might be the question, as Ray Alfala gets beat on pit road by Steve Sheehan. So Ray Alfala not going to be the restart leader. Fantastic pit work by the 6 team of Steve Sheehan. They get him out in front, followed by Alfala and John Gorlinski, and report is on the 55 of Brian Schoenberg, fuel only, Nim. Fuel only on Brian Schoenberg. He might have a cause there because we only ran about 5 or 6 laps under green on that one.
Yeah, but those new tires are pretty good there on start, and that start, the hairiest time on these races is the restarts, because everybody is all grouped together, and that's when they feel that they can make up positions. And when you're at a disadvantage with all the cars around you, it's never a good thing. And we saw earlier how the other guys who tried that, Kashiba and Prather, they just struggled, and it was actually pretty dangerous when they did it. So we'll hope that that works out for them, but. Sheehan, I think, might be in some bad news here.
So Schoenberg, the guy with fuel only, is going to end up in the second spot right now. Alex Warren being shown out front. Schoenberg being shown second, followed by Josh Connors and Brad Davies, the top four. First car with tires is going to be Steve Sheehan in the fifth spot. So Sheehan and Alfala are going to have a little bit of work to do to work their way back towards the front of the field, and then will come Gorlitsky, Ottinger, Berry, and Kevin King, the rest of the top 10. 60 laps to go the next time they cross the line. This is, in fact, go time now, working the 8th caution of the evening. I know you said tires are a premium, but I almost have to think that maybe somebody like Schoenberg or Brad Davies, the gamble to stay out front with tires that don't have that much wear on them, I think, might pay off, just because of how far back in the pack they were mired.
Well, that's true. Like if they can make them work, then track position is everything. And if they can gain some spots by doing this. I'm sure they don't think that they can hold off Sheehan or Ray, but if they gain some spots, it can work out for them. I'm just a little bit worried as to what we saw earlier in the night when we saw Kashiba have his problems. And remember, not too long after the restart and the problems that we saw for Kashiba, we saw him going a lap down too. So I'm just a little bit worried as to what we seen earlier. For the most part, I see that as a good move. But just tonight, boy, we've seen tires being a real big deal. And once you get those 1 or 2 laps of new worked off of them, they seem to fall back quite a bit.
That they certainly do. Officials reminding the drivers that 60 laps to go is still plenty of time. Let's not be too stupid. And we'll find out if, in fact, that does work. Alex Warren ready to bring him down. Side by side with Schoenberg, and Schoenberg gets a horrible start. Josh Connors now will make his way up to third. Steve Sheehan going to now work his way by Brian Schoenberg as well. So Sheehan, a big benefactor on that one. And Ray Alfala, your former leader, fired back in traffic. Now as Sheehan goes for second on Connors in turn 3.
Yeah, this is a trying time for Alfala. He's stuck up on the outside groove where Schoenberg is struggling. He can't get down to the inside, and now Brad Davies gets a little piece of that wall, a little bit uncharacteristic, and now some banging going off with Schoenberg there.
3 wide, Hudson, Alfala, and Schoenberg 3 wide as here goes Sheehan for the lead by Alex Warren. John Gorlitsky in tow. Josh Berry on his back bumper as well. Top 5 starting to separate themselves from the rest of the mess that is behind them, led by Tyler Hudson and Kevin King.
And we're seeing it again. Those guys on old tires, those new tires are so good that for the first few laps of the restart, the guys on old tires are just in trouble. And we're seeing it again, even just a couple of laps.
That we are, and still an absolute mess back there as they try to get by some of these cars, like Brian Schoenberg, with the older tires. As you watch the 29 machine. Kevin King, the 01 of Hudson, the 82 Alex Warren, they go by him. So move Hudson now up to 5th after starting 33rd. We gave a call to Josh Lawton earlier, but Nim, you've got to give a call to the young driver Tyler Hudson out of Mississippi. Started 33rd on the field, all the way up to 5th, and he is headed towards the front.
Yeah, Tyler doing a good job now as we coming up on lap number 147 here, the start of lap 147. Alfala starting to work his way through. He's getting the car back hooked up, getting out of that heavy traffic, and he's working his way back up. But Tyler Hudson, you're right, 5th spot from where he started at this point in the race, and he's running good out there. He's running good lap times. He's doing a great job.
Alfala is a car right behind him, and you talk about Ray trying to work his way back to the front of the field now. Ray has not been in this position yet tonight. He started near the front of the field in the 3rd spot, so Ray is trouble. One car on the infield. That is the 5 machine of Michael Connie. No caution yet. Now caution on the speedway, as it looks like Michael Connie going to catch the outside wall. A number of cars involved in that one, including the 30 of Robert Hall, a couple other machines behind them spinning. That was just a classic chain reaction incident. But Michael Connie certainly catching a tough break, and he was second in points coming into the night, Nim.
Yeah, Connie was having some trouble. From all the way off of turn 4, Alex Warren got sideways. Patrick Baldwin was beating on his rear bumper, trying to get out of his way. Connie got put up into the fence, and that wreck started at turn 4, went all the way around turns 1 and 2, and ended up coming off of 2.
Yeah, Connie, I think, probably could have done a little better than trying to pitch down the 25 machine to Davidowitz there on the front straightaway. But Davidowitz, get a class act move, didn't drive up the racetrack into him, just kind of rubbed into him, leaned on him a little bit, and they continued to race around. Davidowitz got away pretty much scot-free, but Connie certainly gets the short end of the stick on that deal, and it looks like we will not see pit stops from all your leaders, so now they're starting to play the track position game as well. Everybody staying on the racetrack except for those who were involved in this caution.
Yeah, I have to document also that Thomas Hazard there kind of got the short end of the stick as Connie got him down on turn number 2, turned him around, and Hazard got some heavy damage up into the wall in that incident. He took a lot of damage on that one.
Yeah, I think he might have been the car I saw spinning up in the middle of turns 1 and 2 that I thought precipitated it all, actually. But as you said, the incident with Connie just sort of worked its way halfway around the racetrack, and Tom Hazard caught the short end of the stick in the aftermath of everything they were trying to work around as well. Working caution number 9 now here in the 2012 edition of the Richmond round for the NASCAR Racing.com Series World Championship. Steve Sheehan still your leader, followed by Gorlinski, Barry, Wright, and Hudson, the top 5. And another guy we need to give a call to, Brian Blackford, started way back in the field as well. He too way inside the top 10 now, being shown in 8th. Patrick Fogel there in 10th too. So a lot of comers and goers here tonight, Nim. And guys that had their setup right for the race, maybe not so much for qualifying, but they had it right for the race. And now as we get down to when it matters, the money laps, they are where they need to be.
Yeah, that's what you work for all race long, is to get positioned for the end of this race here. And Blackford right now doing a great job, 8th position. We haven't seen him run strong up front all day, but we have seen him run strong back in the middle of the pack. And remember, with 43 cars on the track, just because you're not up in the top 5 doesn't mean you're not running strong. And these are the best of the best out of thousands of drivers who try to make it in this series. The top 43, when you're running, what looks to be bad in this series, back in the 43, you're still running pretty fast. So Brian Blackford doing a great job to be up in the top 10 at this point.
Of course, always judged by your latest accomplishment, no matter what you're doing in racing. And even though it might be the 43 best guys here, if you're running 43rd, everybody still says you're the slowest guy there. So nobody, as competitive as these drivers are, wants to be in the back half of the field. They want to be back up towards the front of the speedway. While we're working this caution, then we've got a really, really cool contest going on here with iRacing. They did this a year or so ago with the new iRacing 2.0. We had a contest similar to this. And now we've got another similar video contest. Tell us about it.
Well, we're coming up on the 3rd annual iRacing video contest, and videos must be submitted by June 1st. And the top video wins $500 of iRacing credits. And also the top iRacing staff choice gets $100 in iRacing credits. So any video that you guys might want to submit to the video contest, just go to the iRacing members page, and you'll get the specifics on that. But $500 iRacing credits will buy you a lot of tracks and cars.
Certainly can. And a big note to remember, make sure you own all the content in those videos as the pace car pulls up. In other words, all the music, anybody's voices, any trademarks that you use in there, make sure you own them. Otherwise, it might be a big no-no. Green flag is out. We're racing once again. Steve Sheehan gets the jump, and we watch the battle for 4th. Hudson and Brad Wright side by side into turn number 1. Hudson trying to get by the 48 machine as Wright up the speedway. Hudson noses ahead now off turn 4.
Yeah, Hudson's battling down the inside. Now Ray Alfala sticks his nose in there 3 wide going down the corner number 1. Alfala down the inside. He's got the preferred line. We'll pick up 2 spots as they go through 1 and 2.
Yay! 3 wide, didn't one would work. I wasn't so sure about coming off turn 2, but it did. As Brad Wright, Tyler Hudson get together. Right hard the outside wall, back in front of traffic. hard impact. I didn't see who that was that ended up getting into Brad Wright, but just had nowhere to go. But I think that was Andrew Fiash III as the field. Pretty much, that was the worst thing that could have happened to them. With Brad Wright getting sent around there in turn number 1 or turn 3, maybe trying to fit into a hole that wasn't there, and then poor Andrew Fiash, Josh Lawton got caught up in that, and surprisingly, only 3 cars got a piece of that. But I think Brad Wright, his night is effectively done. Same with Andrew Fiash III.
Yeah, it looks like the guys that just didn't want to give each other going down in that corner there, and they get together, sends Brad right around, but they come to this point in the race. We're working lap number 156 right now, and we've seen it all season long. As we get to the end of the races, these guys just don't give to each other anymore, and we have a lot of incidents towards the end of the race. Early in the race, everybody's doing a great job giving and taking, and there's not a whole lot of caution, but we've seen it in every race this year. Coming down to the end of the race, they want those positions, and they're trying to do well for their sponsors and their point standings. And by the time we get to this point in the race, nobody's giving anything, and that's why we have a lot of cautions.
Yeah, and I think it's typical with any race series. Really, you see a lot of guys. It's less give and more take as you get closer and closer to the end of the race. There's an inverse relation, or actually, it's a direct relationship between the number of laps left and then the amount of give versus the amount of take, and you can just watch them on a downward slope, the amount of give as the race gets closer and closer to the end of its scheduled distance. And speaking of which, we're close to the end of our scheduled distance. 157 laps now complete. 43 laps to go. A couple cars coming off pit road just ahead of the pace car as Steve Sheehan continues to lead here in the latter stages, followed by John Gorlinski, Josh Berry, Ray Alfala, and Kevin King, the top 5. And Alfala, what a move for him, Nim. I mean, 3 wide by Brad Wright and Tyler Hudson. It's just what we were talking about. He saw a gap and he went for it. 100 laps ago, he probably wouldn't have done that.
No, that's right. And Ray's definitely one of the smarter drivers in this race. He made that 3 wide move going down to the inside, but he had a good run, and he did it safely. He kept his lane down to the inside, and the guys in the back, everybody else trying to take advantage of that, and putting their noses into spots where maybe there wasn't enough room is where you have the problems. But Ray always making sure that he's got room and not putting anybody in a whole lot of trouble when he makes a move like that.
So certainly Alfala looking to work his way back towards the front after that move of power to pretty much say, yep, I'm here and I'm not going anywhere anytime soon except forward. Now the question is going to be, can Steve Sheehan get another good restart here? Because if that's the case, Alfala's stuck on the outside line again, which might mean that Kevin King and Nick Ottinger and Patrick Fogel might have a shot to get by him, because as we've seen, the driver leading the restart, and pretty much it's always been the inside line. Steve Sheehan in this case seems to always just get a fantastic restart. It's like it's almost like he's just shot out of a cannon.
Yeah, he gets to go, and he's got plenty of distance to do so. You can go anytime after the pace car leaves the track, and anytime before the green flag is waved by the flagman. So that gives you a little bit of time as the leader to choose to go. And the other drivers, the guy in second and the guys behind, are trying to anticipate when the leader's going to go, and he's trying to disguise when he's going to go. And he always, when he goes, the other guys just seem to be lagging by just a little bit, and that's why it seems like the leader's getting the big jumps. But we'll see if these other guys, John Gorlinski in second place. Gorlinski's pretty good at anticipating the start. We'll see if these guys can keep up with Sheehan as he makes a start this time.
We'll see what happens. Pace car is off. Sheehan goes right very early. Gorlinski able to almost keep up. It's a Carly. And here comes Ray Alfala, the outside of Josh Berry. Berry in third. Now single file for the top 4 as they work through turns 1 and 2. Hudson on the outside, racing Nick Ottinger, his teammate, down the back straightaway.
Going down through 3 and 4, Sheehan has a spot coming off the corner, and he battles back through. Top 10 seem to be getting sorted out. Now Ray Alfala looking all over the back bumper of Josh Berry as they go down to corner number 1.
Still watching the Tyler Hudson machine is up front. Everything single file. Hudson falling back. Patrick Fogel now getting underneath the TDH delivery machine of Tyler Hudson. That is the first battle. It's Ray Alfala nearly spins on the front straightaway. Alfala plumps sideways. Lost 2 spots. What a fantastic piece of driving by Ray Alfalla. But Nim, I thought we were about ready to see Ray Alfalla on the inside wall in the infield grass off of turn 4. Alfalla hanging it out for all it's worth.
Yeah, Ray, you don't hardly ever see mistakes by Ray. Ray is one of the calmest, coolest drivers out here in the track, and he spun his tires just like we saw a number of other drivers do earlier in the event. Ray spun his tires coming off of that corner last time, maybe made an adjustment on that last pit stop that he's not liking too much.
Possibly, but certainly the right rear tire is not going to like that abuse that took off turn 4 2 laps ago. It reminds me, Nim, I was watching the UARE Stars race at Rockingham from the tower. Clay Rogers, the short track veteran, pretty much the equivalent of a Ray Alfalla in short track circles, leading the race and spun himself out with 4 laps to go at Rockingham. It was something I never thought I'd ever see in my life, and I watched that happen. And trouble! Big trouble! Byron Daly in the wall at turn number 4. The 39 machine swept up in that one as well, Michael Johnson, and that will bring out the 10th caution of the event. Over in turns 3 and 4, tough break for both of those drivers. And we talked about it earlier, Nim. We're getting closer and closer to the end of the race. Things are getting crazier and crazier. Tough break for Byron Daly and Michael Johnson. Hard impact for both those drivers in the turn 3 fence.
Yeah, it looks like going down in corner number 3 there, it looks like Michael Johnson was down the inside of Daly, and then Connor McKenzie tried to get down there, and maybe didn't expect Johnson to check up so much, but Connor McKenzie got into the back of the 39 car. That spun him around, got him up into the car of Daly, and Daly and Johnson are the 2 guys that paid the most price for that. Looks like Vinny Sansone had a big piece of that as well.
Yeah, Sansone kind of got swept up in the aftermath there. He almost was by it and got caught up on the rear quarter panel and then kind of got spun into it as well. See if we have any takers on pit road. Looks like nobody up front. Oh! Steve Sheehan gets left out. Gorlinski and everybody else to pit road. Steve Sheehan, pretty much a sitting duck, Nim. No matter what he did. Yeah, no matter what he did, it was the wrong decision, and looks like he's going to pay for that one.
Yeah, when you're the leader, you don't know what to do, and we've been there. We've all been there, Tony. You race on the service, I race, and you're always in this position when you're in the lead. You're looking back. Should I pit? Shouldn't I pit? I don't know. And you make a decision, and it's always the wrong decision because the people behind you always do the opposite. Sheehan, with what we see, 2 tires for Ray Alfalla, but for what we see, this is not going to be good for Sheehan.
Well, it might be. He's got a whole huge buffer of cars as Alfalla takes 2 tires. Gorlinski takes 4 tires behind them. Same with Nick Ottinger, Josh Berry, Kevin King, Brian Blackford, Fogel, Hudson, Baldwin, Harrison, Davidowitz, Schoenberg, Thompson, Kashiba, and others, all taking 4 tires. A number of drivers stayed out behind Steve Sheehan to try to take advantage of track position. And if they stay on the racetrack, that might be the only saving grace Steve Sheehan has. Drivers that stayed out include Alex Warren, Florian Goddard, Josh Lawton, who's being scored in 4th. The 24 machine of Pedro Mojica, Carson McClellan. It's about 5 or 6 cars staying on the speedway. And the only question is, will they actually stay there? Because that might be the only saving grace and the only chance that Steve Sheehan has to get away from those guys behind him. And this is all, of course, assuming that we stay green.
Yeah, well, these guys up here, we've seen it a couple times now. The tires are a big deal, and the guys who stayed out, they're going to be in trouble. And you're right, Steve has a buffer of about 4 or 5 cars, and that's probably a buffer of 4 or 5 laps, and maybe 4 or 5 cautions by the time they get there. Is what we've seen so far too. But the guys on bad tires or old tires, we can call them bad tires, but older tires are just going to be a really, really big disadvantage. And the guys are so much faster with the new tires that when they come through, it's just such a big speed differential, especially with them stacked up 2 by 2 on the start. We've seen a lot of trouble, and this doesn't look good here with 30 laps to go.
I think the best case scenario for Steve Sheehan right now is, well, there isn't one. Just to salvage a top 10 finish, I think, at this point, might be his best case scenario, but we'll find out as the laps play out. 30 laps to go here when we get the 1 to go signal, or we anticipate the 1 to go signal. And watch the replay. Look at the fake job by Gorlinski and everybody else. The very, very last second, Gorlinski and everyone else turns left, and there's nothing Steve Sheehan can do about it.
Yeah, and that's still a pretty good move by Gorlinski and the guys because, Gorlinski doesn't know what everybody's behind him going to do, and, he might be hung out, but everybody followed him in. He does have a couple teammates he's working with there, and I'm sure he knew what they were going to do. But we'll see how it works out. Hopefully we have a good, safe restart here. We got 5 cars up there with old tires on. The guys back with Alfala and Gorlinski, they're going to have to be careful, too, because they get themselves in trouble. They could ruin their race here real quick, fresh tires or not. They don't want to get into these guys and cause an accident because they could be caught up in it.
Absolutely. We've seen it already a couple of times. And you see Alfala trying to lag back just a little bit, maybe trying to get that jump. Sheehan hits the gas. He is on the button and going, as is everybody else behind him. He gets about a 3-car length jump. And here goes Gorlinski through the middle, trying to split Ray Alfala and Josh Lawton. Gorlinski up top. He wants to be the first car with tires. Alfala now on the bottom, throwing about 3 wide, nothing there. Gorlinski, Alfala is now up the racetrack, trouble. Lawton in the outside wall, and Ray Alfala goes around.
Yeah, Ray Alfala got hit. He's around, and a lot of trouble going on now as Gorlinski tried to make a 3 wide coming off corner number 4. He got into Alfala, and Ottinger got into him, and Ray Alfala is up into the wall.
Tough break for Ray Alfala, Josh Lawton, and others. Brian Blackford and Patrick Baldwin caught a piece of it as well. But it's just tight, short track racing at a 3/4 mile oval with less than 30 laps to go. And as you watch the replay, you just sort of see it was racing amongst all. And we talked about it, Nim. Those cars with slower tires backed everybody up. Ottinger tried to get a run on all 4 of them and just barely got into Alfala, and that's all it took. It's even a good save by Nick Ottinger because he nearly got turned around all that mess as well. But I think it's safe to say that Ray Alfala will not repeat as Richmond winner here in 2012.
Yeah, he won't. Yeah, it's going to be hard for that to happen. But it looks like Gorlinski, just on the really fresh tires, he wasn't waiting. He's going 3 wide up through the middle there. Coming off of corner number 4, that made Florian check up just a little bit, and that made Ray check up, and the whole bottom line there got all bunched up. But 21 car didn't really have a whole lot of room there. Tried to make his way through, and he did get through. And a number of other cars got bunched up.
Yeah, and certainly nothing that Gorlinski did wrong. He was trying to go and take advantage of those fresh tires and gave everybody plenty of room, had plenty of room to get around them. And like you said, everybody else just kind of got maybe a little freaked out about it, checked up, or of course those older tires, they probably checked up as well. They didn't roll the center quite as well as maybe Alfala and Ottinger had planned. And just a product of tight racing in a place like this with old tires and new tires all mixed in at the front. So let's reset the running order for you. Steve Sheehan, of course, still is the leader. Alex Warren has held on to second for the time being as Alfala goes a lap down on pit road. John Gorlinski will be scored third. He is the first car on the racetrack with 4 fresh tires. Then comes Florian Goddard, who has old tires. Nick Ottinger with four fresh tires. Kevin King, Josh Berry, all these cars now with new tires. Patrick Vogel, Tyler Hudson, and Patrick Baldwin, the top 10. And Baldwin caught a piece of that accident as well. It looks like he very minor damage on the 52 machine, but certainly the running order has been shuffled. Rest of the running order at the moment: Richie Davidowitz is 11th, Landon Harrison 12th, Justin Thompson 13th, Brian Schoenberg back up to 14th, and Connor McKenzie being shown 15th. Paul Kashiba is being shown 16th, 17th Chad Coleman, 18th Cyril Nussbaum, Charles Cosper is 19th, and Tom Hazard currently 20th now.
Well, we still got 25 laps to go in the race, and a lot can still happen. But right now, Ray Alfala, your point leader, finds himself in trouble. Michael Conti, who was second in points and your point leader up until last week, he's having some trouble too, as we saw earlier in this race. He's running 26 right now. So who this might benefit the most is your third place in points driver, the 55 car of Brian Schoenberg on the main performance PC drivers. Schoenberg right now finds himself in the 14th position. And with Conti and all, that's about 12 points or so that he might make up on these guys, which would put him real close up to this battle for the point lead. I'm not sure he's going to be able to catch him or not, but looks like Schoenberg has a lot to gain if he can work out a good finish here tonight.
Yeah, in fact, Schoenberg is one of the ones that might end up, if everything goes according to plan, he could even end up the points leader before everything is said and done. Robert Hall, who was 4th, has had some problems here tonight, as has Michael Johnson in 7th, Carson McClellan, who was 5th, Chris Main in 9th. Only guys in the top 10 having a decent night so far: Brad Davies, Tyler Hudson, and Nick Ottinger right now, this is going to shuffle the points, to say the least. Let's see if John Gorlinski has anything for Steve Sheehan here on this restart. Pace car is off. Sheehan on the gas, as is Gorlinski. Sheehan does not get away. In fact, he sees the worst thing he can see. Gorlinski to his inside at turn 1, Nim.
Yeah, John Gorlinski putting a big challenge to Steve Sheehan going down to corner number 1. Can't make it happen coming off of 2 that time. See what he can do going down to corner number 3. He's right there with Ottinger right behind.
Ottinger looking for the runner-up spot. He's all over the back bumper of John Gorlinski. They'll race into turn number 1. Josh Berry has joined the group as well in that Speedco truck lube machine. Sheehan, remember, on old tires. He did not pit, doing a fantastic job wheeling that machine. Here goes Gorlinski. He thinks about it. Nothing there. Sheehan will slam the door. Ottinger now underneath Gorlinski for second down the front straightaway.
Yeah, it looks like Gorlinski's kind of making some tough moves there that, I don't think are helping him out too much as he goes down to corner number 3 there. He really didn't have a chance to get to his inside, and now that lost the position for Ottinger, as now Gorlinski has to battle with the 72 car.
And he just slammed the door in the face of Josh Berry off turn number 2. Berry saw third spot all day long, and then absolutely got it handed back to him as here goes Gorlinski for second. Diving to the inside of Ottinger. Ottinger will give him the lane in turn 1. Meanwhile, this is the best thing Steve Sheehan can see in his rearview mirror. He is starting to pull away from this group because they're battling so hard with each other. The gap, what was mere inches, now about 2 to 3 car lengths off turn 4.
Yeah, as now Gorlinski has to worry about Berry right behind him. He's backed off in that battle just a little bit, maybe overheating those tires just a little bit. Sheehan looking out front by about 2 car lengths over Ottinger. This is the best Ottinger's looked all night long.
And he's still looking the best because he now the first car with 4 tires, but I think a lot of that advantage might have already worn off. We'll find out. The gap now about a car length and a half as Sheehan trying to take that defensive line into turn number 1 a little bit lower as Baldwin sideways into turn number 1 up the racetrack. He'll hang on to it. Tough break for Patrick Baldwin. He'll lose a few spots in the process, but we'll still watch this battle for the lead. Top 5 cars under a blanket. Sheehan, Ottinger, Gorlinski, Josh Berry, and Tyler Hudson all right there in the thick of it, vying for the victory here at Richmond with 17 laps to go. And Nim, I am impressed at Sheehan able to hold these guys off with his old tires as Josh Lawton brings out the caution flag over in turn 2. Josh Lawton, the 40 machine, hard impact over in turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, Lawton's been involved in many of these incidents tonight. Some of his fault, some not. But going down in corner number 1 this time, he gets together with Florian Goddard going into corner number 1, spins the car around, and that takes him and Florian up to the wall, and it'll be the end of the night for Joshua. But at least he doesn't have to worry about any more caution flags.
Yeah, tough break for him, and again, just hard racing. Florian kind of didn't expect him to take that line. It looked like he did take it to the corner. They got together, and Josh just about held on to it, and he was still vying for a lead lap spot there. He was currently 19th as nobody, as much as they thought about it, pitting. Oh, check that. One of the green cars coming in, but we'll go back and recap that for you here in just a little bit. 15 laps are left here at Richmond. Don't go away here on iRacing Live. We'll be back to cover the finish for you live from Richmond. Here's a winner. Jeremy is Richard Taylor. The rookie trying to grab his first win.
As a true NASCAR champion is Richard
Here's a winner. Number 7 of Richard Towler. RT is $10,000 Richard. Welcome back to the Richmond International Raceway. Steve Sheehan, currently your leader over Nick Ottinger, John Gorlansky, Josh Berry, and Tyler Hudson, the top 5. Patrick Fogel, Kevin King, Alex Warren, Justin Thompson, and Richie Davidowitz, the top 10. Expecting the 1 lap to go signal this time from the starter, and that's what we get as Gorlansky and Ottinger real close with each other here. Thought maybe they were going to exchange some words there. Nonetheless, Josh Berry going to be tucked up underneath Nick Ottinger on the restart. I have to wonder how much Steve Sheehan has left in him, because, I mean, he's been out there just driving his heart out on those used tires.
Yeah, he is. Now the other guys behind him, Ottinger and Gorlansky, are used also. One thing you want to watch here is Gorlansky. Gorlansky's been making some bonsai, very aggressive moves, trying to make his way up to the lead, and even on the leader a couple of times, which hasn't worked out for him. That let Ottinger by the last time. So keep an eye on Gorlansky and see how he goes.
And he goes right by Nick Ottinger for the second spot. Here comes Hudson underneath Berry. He'll try to get fourth in turn number 1. They'll battle side by side off turn 2. Here comes Gorlansky. He's within a car length of the lead on Sheehan. Trouble over in turn number 2. That is the 24 machine of Pedro Mojica in the outside wall. So we'll re-rack them and do it one more time.
Yeah, it looks like Mojica's night is going to be done as they went down the corner number 1. Corner number 1 right there. It looks like Pedro lost it all on his own, and he overcorrected, got up into the fence. So it's hard to blame that one on anybody else but Pedro. Maybe a little bit of debris or oil down there in corner number 1, but he lost it on his own as he went down to the corner there and ruined his night.
You know, we talked earlier about we didn't know if there was a best-case scenario for Steve Sheehan. To maybe he could salvage a top 10 finish in them. I've just been very, very impressed by the New Yorker. He has done a fantastic job, and the cautions have fallen the way he needs them to. The guys behind him have been racing the tires off their cars. He's still been out front during the course of everything. He might even, if everything goes according to plan, have a shot to win this thing, but I'm sure John Gorlansky and Nick Ottinger might have something to say about that.
Yeah, as they've worked through now, and they've all the drivers up there have burned off the new on their tires, I think he does have a shot. He's shown he gets a good jump on these restarts, and if we get some green flag laps in, he could get challenged by Gorlansky or Ottinger. But the last few laps there that we did have green before the last caution flag, he was able to hold him off and has done a good drive, which is really surprising to me. Although, you know, we just say he's not going to have a chance at it. He's definitely doing it. He's proving us wrong and doing real good up front right now.
That he certainly is. That will certainly be the story if he can pull this off, is the fact that he did it on tires that were as old as they were. And he needs a good run right now. Being shown 20th in points coming into this race, Sheehan just hasn't had the luck this season, and maybe, just maybe, things are going to start to turn his way here at Richmond with less now than 10 laps to go on that Spy Optics Chevrolet. And I don't know if he's going to need another yellow or not, because I think maybe he has something for Gorlansky on this restart, but another yellow certainly wouldn't hurt.
Yeah, it wouldn't. I actually think if they get more yellows, Sheehan, it's definitely going to work in the Sheehan's favor. Gorlansky needs a couple of laps, but Gorlansky runs the car really hard, and he's been making some chances. Now he's up on that outside line, and we've seen that position, the second place position up on that outside line, has had the most problems of judging the leader's restarts here at these races. So Ottinger down in that third spot, he's actually a preferred position over Gorlansky, but Gorlansky, maybe the most aggressive driver on this track, might be able to make it happen up there on the outside.
That he very well may be able to make it, or to get the job done. We'll only find out. And, you know, what's so weird about that is it's odd. You got the two Junior Motorsports cars up front with Steve Sheehan and John Gorlansky, the two Gale Force suspension racing team machines of Hudson and Nick Ottinger there in the second row. And then you've got another one of the Junior Motorsports drivers, the 72 of Josh Berry. The 29 of Kevin King is right there as well. He's driving for Sim Chassis this year. But he certainly works closely a lot of times with a lot of the Junior Motorsports people. So it's kind of a sandwich for them guys. But nonetheless, it's going to be a fantastic showing. I mean, all 6 drivers, pretty much the top 6, we've talked about these final 50 laps has been a shot to win the race. They've been there in the thick of it. They've been there as the field has strung out and pulled away. And with 1 to go, we're going to get the green flag with 5 laps remaining. And if the caution flag comes out again, Nim, that will effectively end the race.
Yeah, it should end the race, definitely. So we'll see what happens here. You'll see all the drivers now, they're going to go for it. And if we make it 5 laps, I'm going to be really surprised. It'll be a miracle. But Sheehan's got to hold off Gorlinski. And Gorlinski's got to try to get a good restart here.
That he does. If I'm Gorlinski, I almost risk jumping the restart just to try to stay neck and neck with Sheehan. I think it's the only chance I'm going to have. You see him trying to lag back, trying to guess the start. He guessed it, but he wasn't in the right spot. Sheehan went very, very early. He gets a 3-car length jump. Gorlinski gets a jump as well over the rest of the field. They're single file. Hudson and Ottinger now side by side for the 3rd spot off turn number 2. Ottinger will get that spot. Hudson now under fire from Josh Berry.
Berry goes to the inside, going in corner number 3. He looks to have position on Hudson as they come off
Trouble!
corner number 2.
Trouble behind him! And that will effectively end the race. The 41 machine of Jake Sturgis gets sent into the outside wall. So Steve Sheehan, if he can keep it between the fences for the rest of this one under caution, will win here at Richmond. This our 15th caution of the evening. Gorlinski 2nd, Ottinger 3rd, Josh Berry, and Tyler Hudson, the top 5. Again, all things assuming that these drivers can putt back to the checker flag here under caution now.
Yeah, they'll have to make it around. They'll have to finish these last few laps here. But we'll try to see who has benefited from the point standings here in the point standings and see who has gotten closer to the points lead and also see who's gotten closer to that top 25, which remember, you need to be in the top 25 in points to make it through to next season. The bottom drivers outside the top 25 will be relegated, and they'll have to requalify through next fall's pro season to get in here.
Yeah, that's very, very important to be on the top 25 in points. It's just like the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series where you got to be in the top 35, except here it is the top 25 to allow for more drivers to have a shot at getting in or out of the races each and every single year. Sheehan will see 2 laps to go this time with the caution flag, and that means that he can breathe a huge sigh of relief. And already, Nim, we've seen that he's already said to everybody, I was nervous as all get out when everybody pitted. I thought my race was done, and here he is. I don't want to say it was the right call, but it didn't prove to be the wrong call.
Well, it was definitely, I hate to admit that it might have been the right call too, but it works out. If you win the race from the call, it's got to be called the right call, I guess. And it was one that I certainly wouldn't have thought would work, but it did. And Steve Sheehan looks like he's going to bring home the Richmond 200 here in the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship.
Another about mile and a quarter to go as he works down the back straightaway. He will see the white flag with the caution this time, and Steve Sheehan just again a fantastic job. And while he works the final lap, I wanted to, did we determine a winner on our tweet contest yet? And I guess silence again means that they're sorting through tweets, Nim. So apparently everybody's tweeting everything insanity here as well. And we'll have a couple of our iRacing trial memberships to give away as well, and hopefully we can cover all that by the end of the show. If not, of course, the winners will be contacted. They're the only people that really need to know, but it's nice for everybody else to get a share of the celebration, as well as John Gorlinski pushing Steve Sheehan through turns 3 and 4 down the back straightaway here on this final lap. Hey, you can't get assistance on the final lap, correct? Is that how this is going to be judged? Whatever. We know Sheehan's car's running. He's not out of gas. And here he'll come off of turn number 4 out of Schenectady, New York. Steve Sheehan will win the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship event here at the Richmond International Raceway. John Gorlinski will finish 2nd, Nick Ottinger 3rd, Josh Berry and Tyler Hudson the top 5. Kevin King, Patrick Fogle, Paul Kashiba, Richie DeVitois, Justin Thompson the top 10. Followed by Alex Warren, Patrick Baldwin, Brian Schoenberg, Thomas Hazard, Cyril Nussbaum, Byron Daly, Connor McKenzie, Charles Cosper, Landon Harrison and Michael Johnson, the top 20 now.
21st will be John Prather, bringing home 21st tonight. 22nd, Vinny Sansone, who had a little bit of trouble early on. Chris Main brings her home 23rd. 24th, Michael Conte. 25th, Jake Sturgis, who was just a winner a few weeks ago. 26th, Chad Coleman in car number 7. 27th, Brandon Bushberger. 28th, Josh Connors. 29th, Florian Goddard. Ray Alfala, your points series leader, finds himself in bad luck tonight, coming off corner number 4. He'll finish 30th. 31st, Brian Blackford. 32nd, Joshua Lofton. Carson McClellan will finish 33rd, and he was 20 laps down. Brad Wright, 40 laps down, finished 34th. Andrew Fast, the third, will finish 35th. 36th, Brad Davies. Robert Hall, 37th. John Adams, 38th. Thomas Lewandowski brings her home in 39th tonight. Josh Parker, 40th. Pedro Mojica, 41st. Daniel Pope, the second, 42nd. And rounding out your field, Marcus Lindsay brings her home in last in the 43rd spot.
And as Steve Sheehan does donuts here at Richmond, we will come back here in just a minute or two to interview him and the rest of the top finishers here on iRacing Live following tonight's Richmond 200 for the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Here comes Jeremy is Richard NASCAR champion is Richard
Richard Fowler, RT is $10,000 Richard. And welcome back here to Richmond International Raceway for the iRacing.com post-race show for the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship. Tonight's Richmond 200 won by Steve Sheehan after leading 58 of the 200 laps, 7 lead changes, and 72 caution laps out of the 15 yellows that we had over the course of the evening. And of course, our post-race show, what does that mean? You got it. The man with the trophy is here, and that is Steve Sheehan out of Schenectady, New York. And Steve, I know that it was the first thing on your mind as soon as you saw it in the rearview mirror. Holy cow, I just threw this race away when everybody pitted and you were the lone man left on the racetrack.
You better believe it. It was worse to not see more people pit, to see not more people not pit with me. But it was just, kind of just had to pray for those cautions to come out. It's funny because I was talking with John Gorlinski, pacing around, and I was like, "You gonna pit?" And he said, "I'm doing the opposite of you." Unfortunately, he pit and everybody followed him.
I guess you should have taken him at his word. I mean, even though he put a good fake on you, everybody else apparently was following him because they all were right lockstep with him. Later as the race went, you talked about the cautions. Everything seemed to go exactly according to plan, however that happened. Even though you had some fantastic restarts, they were dogging you during those final few laps, all over your rear bumper. Did you have anything left, or were you pretty scared that they, in fact, actually had a better car than you did at that point?
Well, they had their best chance. The way this tire model and the tire heat, I know there's a lot of probably people that aren't aware, but the way it works is that first run, when they had fresh tires and I had old tires, that first restart, if they would have got through those other couple cars that stayed out with me, I think there was 3 of them, that's when they would have had their best chance. The more yellows and restarts we had, the more my tire temps came down, and tire temps are way, way more important than the actual tread left on the tire in iRacing, especially on the Cup car. So the longer it went, the more comfortable I was, but they still definitely had a little bit on me.
And I know that had to worry you. Crazy things happen behind you. One of your biggest competitors, Ray Alfala, got swept up in a wreck. Was he the guy you were worried most about, or was it Gorlinski or Ottinger, or who in fact was it that was on the forefront of your mind as you were trying to outrun everybody in the closing laps?
We had that one long green flag run, and I could tell that the 3 of us, Gorlinski and Ray, I could tell myself, Ray and John were the class of the field, which made me feel good because I haven't had a strong run like that in a long time. It looked like John was a little bit stronger than Ray, and I was kind of just there. I could tell I was overdriving to keep up with them, so I knew I was a third-place car at best. My main competition was definitely Gorlinski after Ray got knocked out. I think Ray is kicking himself for taking 2 tires on that pit stop where everybody pit. Not to mention, a lot of it is a toss-up for where you restart on these restarts. If you're on the outside, you're going backwards.
Yeah, it certainly looked that way. As the restarts were a potluck, to say the least. It was a matter of luck more than skill a lot of times. Changing gears a little bit, there's a report, and I'll have to get on my Twitter at tstevens92. Follow me if you like. You can keep up with me. But there was a report, and I'm going to have to look you up to figure this out, Steve, that you're trying to get all Keselowski on us, and you're posting pictures while you're racing, or at least while you're running around under caution.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. We have the luxury, you could probably hear it behind me blowing up as we speak right now. We have the luxury of kind of, we're not in the full-fledged stock car, so, I have my chocolate milk and I have my phone. So, right there next to me. So I figured I'd snap a quick shot, and there's this weird thing. Everyone sees one blank white car, and it's a very weird graphical glitch. And that one blank car, for me, at that point in the race, was Ottinger. So it was so painfully annoying to drive behind him with that white car that I just had to take a picture because it was just funny looking under yellow.
Hey, whatever you can do, my friend, and I'm sure all those fans and friends and family and sponsors that you're going to give a shout-out to are going to be absolutely hounding you on Twitter here later tonight. But, hey, it's all in fun, and now you get a chance to give them a big thank you in Victory Lane.
Oh, definitely. First of all, I don't think JD layered enough for painting, not only my car, but probably 96.5% of DWC at this point. JDR and JRM and Spy Optic is on the hood. Hopefully everyone is watching the race wearing sunglasses, and hopefully if they are, they're Spy. If not, go to their website. They have a bunch of really, really cool sunglasses. So glad I can finally get them a shout out. Tony, it's good to see you calling the race. I don't think I've seen you here in a while, but thank you guys too.
Well, certainly a pleasure to call you home, my friend. It was a great race and certainly entertaining to say the least. Of course, Tim does a great job week after week, and I step in to fill his shoes every now and then. But the UARA Tour keeps me pretty busy, Rockingham Speedway and some other things. But, again, great to see you back in Victory Lane. Congratulations once again.
Thanks, guys. Glad to be here.
That's your winner here tonight. Steve Sheehan, the Spy Optics Chevrolet, and Nim Cross has caught up with the guy that just couldn't quite catch the cautions right, and that's John Gorlinski.
Yeah, second place tonight for a junior motorsports driver from Manasquan, New Jersey, in a degree for men Chevrolet, John Gorlinski. Tell us about your run tonight, John.
It was pretty good. I didn't think I was going to be that good because I'm terrible at Richmond, and I decided I was going to spend a lot of time on a setup this week, and I came up with something really good, and really fast for qualifying and just barely missed the pole because I was under driving, and started second, which is like the worst place to start in one of these things because you can't ever get a good jump on the leader, and then you get freight trained pretty hard. So I fell back, then I drove back up, then I fell back, and I drove back up over and over and over. And I mean, my car, I'm pretty sure I had the best car. I'm just not the best driver at Richmond. I knew if I could get out front, I could probably hold everybody off, but I could never pull down to make a pass on Steve or Ray or really anybody. I just kind of back end would step out down the front stretch, and it was super frustrating. But I guess on that super long run there, Steve and I got together trying to avoid lappers that didn't really know what they were doing. And I did a nice little 360, kept going, and didn't really lose a ton of spots. Recovered from that pretty good. Thought I was in like the best spot ever with brand new tires, and I was like restarted third behind Steve, and Steve's good, and I just couldn't get it done.
Well, when you had that spin, you fell back to the 10th position, and like you said, that was really the first point in the race that you really had to battle through traffic. Saw a lot of kind of hairy moves, and maybe even a couple times where you may have overheated the tires a little bit, try and be pretty aggressive. Was it hard on tires? If you heat up the tires, did you lose a lot, and did you have to let them cool down before you got back up?
Yeah, you could. I don't know if it's like this at every track, but Richmond, you can heat up the right rear, not even trying, and you gotta take about 5 easy laps to cool it back down. I didn't really have a problem with it on that one long run when Steve and I got together. I think everyone had a problem with it. After that, I really didn't have an issue. At the end of the race, I somehow burned up my right front, and I was just plowing when I was trying to catch Steve, and I didn't settle for second, but I was pretty damn disappointed with second.
Roger that. Well, you got a good run tonight. That will help you out a lot in points to get you up. Right now, you come into this race 16th in points. A lot of the guys in the top 10 had a lot of trouble. What do you see your outlook for the rest of the series, and what's your goal? Where you want to finish in points?
Well, I want to finish first. I need Ray to kind of get wrecked, and that's a bad thing to say because we're friends, and I don't want to see him get wrecked. But if I was going to win the points, he's going to need to get taken out a couple times. Realistically, right now, I could probably get, I think third or fourth is within reach. I think it's fourth place. I'm like 19 points back. That's definitely doable. I just need to put together a bunch of races. I think I used up all of my mulligans and then some in the first couple of races this year. But the latest update to this car kind of suits my style again. It's a ton of fun to drive, and hopefully I can stay up front for the rest of the season and, maybe make a run at it. Who knows?
Tell us who makes that happen for you.
Junior Motorsports degree, my parents, my girlfriend. None of them are watching because nobody loves me anymore. And everyone on the drill aisle, they like testing setups, and we always bounce ideas off each other, so couldn't do it without them.
All right, congratulations on your top two finish tonight. In second place finished there, Mr. Gorlinsky. We're going to throw it up to Nick Ottinger, who's with your third place. I'm sorry, we're going to throw it to Tony with your third place finisher, Nick Ottinger.
He started on the inside of the first row, and that means he was the fastest man in town out of Claremont, North Carolina, in that Rheem.com. Rheem hot water heater and air conditioner Chevrolet for Gale Force Suspension Racing. And Nick Ottinger, it's kind of like the story of John Gorlinsky, I think. A little bit of luck on the restarts with the draw as far as where you ended up, and then just kind of ran out of laps there, and Steve Sheehan just barely had enough to hold you guys off.
Yeah, Steve did a great job tonight on them restarts. He he held his own pretty good. I know when me and Gorlinsky were battling each other, I kind of wore myself out a little quick on the right rear. I was a little free all night compared to Gorlinsky, Ray, and Steve. They were pretty stout tonight, but we had a great car tonight. I do want to thank Brandon Jones for helping spot tonight as well. But them restarts were treacherous if you want outside.
Yeah, they certainly look treacherous. Talk to us about those restarts, because it just seemed like no matter who it was, everybody just could not get going on the outside. It was like the leader just absolutely was shot out of a cannon no matter what happened.
Yeah, whoever was second would either spin their tires or just be caught sleeping, and it just staffed the outside row up pretty good. I mean, it was pretty fun trying to dodge the cars, but there was a lot of mayhem there. I know when I was the Sheehan starting second one time, I spun him so bad. Josh almost ran over me, but it's really hard dictating what the leader's when he's gonna go.
Yeah, it certainly has to be. Of course, that's the advantage of being the leader. You have the discretion of when to restart the race. Let's go back to about 30 laps or so to go when Steve stayed out and you guys were charging through the field. We had those cars that were a lap down. You kind of got in the back of a couple guys, and Ray Alfalo went around, and nothing anybody really did wrong, just a racing deal. Walk us through what happened in that incident from where you sat.
Well, me and Barry and Lawton were 3 wide coming off too, and I didn't realize we were 3 wide, so I was kind of crowding Barry into Lawton a little bit off too. And going turn 3, me and Barry made a little contact. I don't know what happened there, but I think it sent Lawton around a little bit. I think into the wall. Then I really don't know what was happening in front of me until I seen Alfalo get sideways. So I had to check up, and someone got into the back of me, and I just grazed the right front. It didn't do any damage, but I grazed it, and luckily we came through it.
You certainly came through it pretty good. And I know you got a lot of people to thank for a solid third-place run here tonight. Got some big names on the side of that machine that certainly make it possible for you every single week to be here in the NASCARRacing.com Series World Championship.
Certainly, all the guys help Dream Chevrolet do good each and every week. I got to thank Brandon Jones, Matt Holden, Jared Crawford. You got to thank Tyler Hudson, just everyone at Gale Force Racing for helping me out each and every week to get these cars prepped.
Well, congratulations once again, Nick. Solid third-place run, and we look forward to seeing more of Mattia here as the season goes on. And with that, we will send it with Nim Cross once again. He has got fourth-place finisher Josh Berry from the Speedco Truck Lube Chevrolet.
Down here with your fourth-place finisher from Hendersonville, Tennessee, in the Main Motorsports Performance Chevrolet. It's Josh Berry. Brings her home fourth tonight. That's a couple good races in a row there for you, Josh.
Yeah, definitely what I needed there. 2 solid runs. Really had a pretty decent car. I didn't really have anything for the win, I don't think, without some circumstance helping me out. But the car was good. It was a little tight, but I knew it was going to be a little tight in the center just because I was trying to get the drive off the corner, and ran good. Fought hard on the restarts and was able to keep myself in good position.
Well, this race tonight will definitely help you get inside that relegation zone, inside the top 25 in points, which is, I know, important to you. Tell us how you got there.
Yeah, qualified, I think, 18th, and really made the majority of my passes on the restarts. The car was pretty good on the longer run just because I was a little bit tighter. I think a lot of people started freeing up, but really just kept fighting, kept trying to get as much as I could when the tires were new and stuff like that, and was able to keep myself in good position.
You had a lot of some close calls out there tonight. You're always in the thick of the battle. Tell us about any close incidents.
Yeah, I know off of on one of the restarts when everybody stayed out and dropped anchor, that I know me and Ottinger we were side by side, and we went under, and I was in a 3 wide in the middle, and that was pretty tight there, and I think I went in there and wiggled and got bumped, and I think the Lawton went around, but I don't know. It was just hard racing. I thought for the most part up front everybody did a pretty good job for the circumstances that we were in on those restarts. I think that was one of the better races up front, so that was good to see that maybe there's some light at the end of the tunnel.
What do you think about Darlington in 2 weeks?
I don't know. I like Darlington. I guess it's another fun track. I'm sure it'll be interesting, and definitely, like I said, gonna be interesting. I know that's a real hard track to get off of, and it's gonna be really important to be able to carry speed through the corners and set yourself up for passes on the straightaway, because it's hard to pass. So it should be a decent race. Hopefully everybody uses their heads, and we'll get a good finish.
Tell us who makes it happen for you.
Yeah, I just want to thank Speedco, Truck Lube, Main Performance PC, Aboto Gaming Cockpits, and all my teammates for helping me out there with the setup. And I've been kind of busy, so I haven't really been doing much. I didn't run Richmond really until tonight, so just thank them for all they do working on the setups and stuff and letting me drive them. And thank you guys, iRacing and PSR TV, for covering the races.
Great job tonight. Fourth place finisher, Josh Berry. We'll send it up to Tony with the fifth place finisher, Tyler Hudson.
Starting 33rd and working his way all the way up to 5th as a driver of the TDH Delivery Chevrolet. And Tyler Hudson, what a drive, first off, for you to come that far deep in the field up to a top 5 run and having a shot to win the race in the closing laps.
Yeah, it was a real good effort. I don't think we had anything for those guys, but you know, the car, in the end, the car was actually fairly decent, though, and fortunately, on some of those restarts and stuff, we were in the right line, so, you know, we just moved forward from there. It was a good night, though.
Sometimes it's all about a little bit of luck versus a little bit of skill, but you had to have some skill to work your way to the front. Let's go back a little bit earlier in the race. Probably one of the things a lot of people will be talking about and wanting to know about, the incident with Brad Wright. You guys were racing hard, tried swapping some lanes and whatnot. He barely got back by you, and the end of turn 3, at least from our vantage point, it looked like he tried maybe to squeeze down between you and Kevin King, and there wasn't a spot there. Is that kind of what you saw, or did you just drive it a little harder, or what exactly happened in that incident?
Yeah, it's tough, because, I mean, on those restarts, the outside line is just, it's going nowhere, so any opportunity you can to jump to the bottom, everybody pretty much takes it, and I think that's pretty much what he was doing. He probably thought he had a little bit better car than I did, and he might have, but there wasn't quite enough room there between me and Kevin King, I don't think, and it looked like he sailed it off in there pretty hard to get in front of me, and when he did, from my vantage point, he bounced off when he dove it in there, he kind of bumped into King, and then that kind of killed his momentum, and from there I was right there. So hopefully whoever has to do the reviewing will see it as a racing deal, because I mean, there's obviously nothing I could do there. I hate that for Brad. Yeah, I know what he was doing, and I know what he was just doing what he had to do. So it's that's kind of how everybody was racing tonight, though. It's cutthroat out there.
Cutthroat it is, but you're certainly doing a good job yourself. You were coming into the night 6th in the standings, and a number of guys in front of you had issues, including the top 2 point men who you're going to close in on. Brian Schoenberg finished behind you. Robert Hall had issues, as did Carson McClellan, Michael Johnson. So it's going to be a really good night for you and your teammate Nick Ottinger, and the points having a solid top 5 run, both of you, and with everybody you're racing having trouble.
That was a real good points night for sure. 2 races ago, I think I was just cruising along there and had another good car, and my connection dropped real early in the race, and that put me a couple laps down, or like 9 or 10, and then so that pretty much killed the momentum we had going the first 3 weeks. And then the race after that, which was the last race, I forget where we were even at, but Texas, we had that long green flag run, and I kind of got ran over, and managed to bounce back to 20th. So to have another good run tonight with no issues, it just shows where we are as a race team, in my opinion, because the only bad finishes I have this season are from computer-related issues and just getting kind of dumped there. But that's racing, that's part of it. My goal is to just keep the car clean and finish as high up as I can, and so far that's worked out this season for me.
Well, it's all about having your equipment up to par and up to spec and the best thing you possibly can put underneath you. And looks like you got those issues worked out. I know not everything can be a Cale Gale or an Eddie Sharp or a Lee Falk racing machine, and certainly none of those guys deal with computers, but you do. It looks like you've got everything humming right along. Speaking of teams and people that make everything happen, Tyler, I know you got a lot of people that make it happen for you each and every single week.
Yeah, but I just want to thank, of course, all the guys at Gale Force Racing. It's been a lot of fun racing with them this season, and Tim's Corner, they've come on board this season. That's pretty cool. And of course, you know, I think you know her, my smoking hot wife Lisa in the other room watching. I forgot to thank her in my last interview, so you know, thanks to her and you guys for the broadcast, and everybody, really everybody that was racing tonight. I was around, did a really good job, and thank those guys for racing with respect and good win to Steve Sheehan, of course.
Okay, Ricky Bobby, I'm glad you got your smoking hot wife. Just please, Tyler, don't name your kids Walker and Texas Ranger. That's Tyler Hudson, driver of the TDH Delivery Chevrolet, coming in 5th here tonight. And Nim, what a spectacular race. All 5 of the drivers we talked to here in our post-race show, each and every single one, I think, had a legitimate shot at winning by the time everything was said and done.
Yeah, very competitive race at Richmond. It's even going to close up our points championship a bit. We're not sure who has got the point lead right now with A.L. Frala having the bonus points involved, but him and Conti are pretty much tied for the lead right now. We'll have to get that sorted out, and obviously the official standings won't be official till tomorrow. And Schoenberg making up big inroads on the point standings tonight. He'll definitely close that in, but we'll see how that works.
And of course, our Twitter contest that we had a little bit earlier in the show had a lot of interesting replies in our Twitter with the hashtag RichmondNISWC. Among them, Super Mario 64. And this is what you gotta love, Nim. I love this race more than the actual NASCAR race. These guys are giving everything they got. Brad K12 fan, I think this race is more like how short track racing is and should be than the past few Cup short track races. Ouch! Derek Key 23, gotta give it all you got. You're gonna find yourself at the wall, guys. That's pretty much what we saw tonight. You gotta give everything you got, or you ended up in the fence. And the guy that ended up winning the $25 iRacing.com gift certificate, unfortunately, I don't think they'll accept that to reimburse your South Carolina state license, Ricky Harden. You need to get that taken care of, my friend, and I don't think that the counties down there accept that as payment either. But Ricky Harden at rharden15. Steve Sheehan just posted a picture of him driving around under yellow in the Richmond NISWC race. Keselowski ain't got nothing on that. So that's the winner here tonight. And I'll agree, man. Keselowski hadn't got anything on that. And quite frankly, I almost echo the sentiments of a lot of the drivers, or a lot of the tweeters or Twitters or whoever they are. But that was a fantastic race to watch, no matter how you shake it.
Yeah, it definitely was. And then the next race we have coming up at Darlington should be very competitive and exciting also. It's a 2-lane wide, very tight track, and Darlington's always a good action track. So we'll see where that comes out in 2 weeks at Darlington.
Certainly will be. That is the next NASCAR iRacing Series World Championship Oval event, and that will be 2 weeks from tonight. That's going to be May the 16th. At the Darlington Raceway from Darlington, South Carolina. But we're going to be on air before then, and that's going to be the iRacing Grand Prix World Championship. Going to be on air on May the 12th from Road America up in Wisconsin. The 4-mile speed plant that is. And I can call it that because this place has got some huge straightaways, a lot of great braking and passing zones. Road America always puts on a fantastic show. Join us here on iRacing Live for PSR TV May 12th for that event for the iRacing.com World Grand Prix Championship. On behalf of Nim Cross, Ian Bushing, Matt Thomas, Chuck Johnson, the entire PSR TV staff and crew, I'm Tony Stevens signing off saying we'll see you next time at Road America, May the 12th and at Darlington on May the 16th. Good night, everybody.